All right, here we go. Oh, actually, you know
All
what?
right.
We're going to, for since it's gonna be on video on demand, we go ahead and get started. There's an ad going on right now. I forgot to turn that off. I do not like having that on right now because we're trying to do this cool interview. See if I could turn it off. I really don't want it to disturb the interview.
Ads, they've always annoyed me. At least back in the day on cable, all of the commercials were usually targeted. So, like, if you're watching,
They were actually kind of fun.
if you're watching Nickelodeon, you're not going to get commercials for, some kind of crazy drug or something. Or if you're watching the Sci-Fi Channel, it's going to be really nerdy stuff. But now, like, when I'm watching stuff on streaming, it's the most random commercials that have nothing to do with
With
what I'm interested in.
anything,
I get so
yeah,
annoyed.
it means nothing at all. No, it's
I
like
get so annoyed. It's the same thing on the internet, but I use ad block for everything because of course I do. But on the
same.
streaming on TV, just the most random commercials for stuff that I would never buy ever.
Do you have anxiety? I mean, I do now that you want to say something, sure. All right. Well, for everybody who's joining, welcome. I am joined today by Chasen Lindsey, who's going to talk to us about game development, his career as a game developer, what led him into developing games, and of course, we're going to talk about Event Horizon, a really cool fan project that he's working on within the StarFox universe. So first and foremost, thank you, Chasen, for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me. Someone with like only 100 and something subscribers on his channel is really cool. That somebody as small as me get a chance to talk to people like you.
Oh, thank you for reaching out to do an interview with me. It's been so long since I've done an interview. This is awesome. I think
Yeah.
it's been almost 10 years since my last interview.
Oh my goodness, man. So, um, first and foremost, I have to say thank you. What in the world have you been up to, man? You said it's been 10 years. So what have you been doing for the past decade?
Oh, recently, for like the last 2.5 years, it's been pretty much just StarFox Event Horizon. Ever since Estelle got involved, it's pretty much all I work on. But before that, I was also working on Event Horizon, but I was also working on a Zelda game, and that I started 2011, I think. So mostly just Zelda and StarFox for 10 years, and I do have my own original stuff, but that's kind of obscure and on the side.
Yeah,
And that's pretty much it. I have a pretty boring life. I just make games, and that's about it.
I mean, hey, for a lot of people that'd be something that sounds like super exciting. So what got you into game development? Like, what brought you into the world of spending hours and days and weeks and months and years just fiddling around on programs?
Broadly speaking, I always loved video games right from the start, and I always thought about making them. But I think the thing that convinced me, wow, I can actually make video games, was Warcraft 3. It came with a little tool that let you make your own levels and stuff, and you can get models and things into it. And I realized, wait, this isn't like some crazy magic. I could just make this stuff on my own. And so that was probably like 2004. Yeah, so yeah, about 2004. That's I think that was the moment I decided, okay, I'm definitely going to try and make video games as a career. Before that, I was actually going to be an architect.
That's a
But
wild
yeah, that ended up not happening.
that's a wild shift, man, going from
Yeah. Well,
architect to game.
funnily enough, the architect thing was also inspired by video games because the first video game I ever played was SimCity. So
Ah,
so a lot of the first games I was really into are the simulators, specifically like SimCity and games like that. And I was always interested in designing cities and buildings and stuff. So for the longest time, for 5 or 6, 7 years, I was gonna be an architect. I was gonna design buildings and make cities nicer. And then Warcraft 3 came out, and that was it. And I'm like, no, I'm just gonna make video games now.
I want to make buildings. No, forget that. I want to make like entire virtual worlds
Yeah,
now.
I'll make entire virtual worlds.
That is That's great. So, how many video game projects have you worked on?
Let's see. Do you want to count like all those weird old
Hey,
crappy
man,
things I started with?
anything that's like got you from playing SimCity, leading all the way up to Horizon. Whether it's a ballpark number or something you really want to talk about. Yeah, I'd like to know like just how far you've come working up from playing SimCity because a lot for those who don't know, for you youngins out there, a lot of game developers actually got their start and interest in making games because of mod kits for like Half-Life and Quake and Unreal Tournament. So like
Yep.
to hear that that kind of stuff still happens, that these kind of games still inspire people, is really interesting to hear. So yeah, man, I'm gonna hear more about going from playing games to being like, oh, you know what? I can make these myself. Like I want to know more about that.
So yeah, I pretty much got started making like little mods and stuff with Warcraft 3 and also StarCraft, and just little maps using the assets from those games. And then in 2005, I decided I'm gonna make a Zelda game in Warcraft 3. And if you go digging, you can still find photos and stuff of it hiding on the internet from 20 years ago. But that was probably my first real project, was trying to make a Zelda game in Warcraft 3. I did that for about a year or two, and then one of my friends gave me RPG Maker. I think that was also another moment where I realized, wait, I don't have to like make mods of stuff. I can actually like just make a game like with this software or whatever.
Yeah.
So I kind of abandoned the Warcraft 3 stuff, and I started making a Zelda RPG in RPG Maker, and those are also floating around on the internet if you can find them. But they're very bad games. They're baby's first video game. Like the sprites in it, I didn't really understand how transparencies work, so you could see like the little blue artifacts around all the sprites,
Ah.
because it was really my first foray into making a game. So I made some Zelda RPGs in RPG Maker, and then around 2009, or was it 2008? It was 2008 or 2009. That's when I went to college, and that's when I officially, was like, okay, this is where I'm going to learn how to actually do this stuff professionally. And then, as I was learning things in college, I started to drift away from that, and I made a little kind of bullet hell shooter game, which again, you can find some evidence hiding on the internet, but I never really officially released that. And then that's when I started the Zelda game that I did for like 10 years after that. But right after college, I actually got a job in the industry, and I was working for several companies for a few years. My first job was at Sony,
Oh.
and the NDAs have all expired, so I think you're probably the first person I'll be able to talk about this with publicly. But I worked on a launch title on the PS4 that got canceled.
Really?
Yeah, it was a really cool game. It got canceled and never got released. But you basically played as a time traveling cop from Tokyo, and you go back in time to feudal Japan, and it was pretty cool. And I think they did show a trailer of it at E3. This would have been like 2013, I think. This is right before the PS4 came out. But I worked on
Yes.
that for a few months, and then it got canceled, and I just left that job, and I eventually landed a job at a company called Subscience Studios, and the only professional game I ever worked on that was released was with them, and it was the Avenged Sevenfold Death Bat game, which is still on Steam.
Excuse me. I gotta look that up now.
That's what was it, Death Bat Hail to the King? It's like a little a little Zelda game, but yeah, I worked on Avenged Sevenfold's game. I met them all once during that project, and that was like the first job I actually liked. Um, I was there for about a year to 2 years, and then sadly the company shut down, and that was when I decided, you know what, I'll just work on video games in my free time and get an air quotes normal job, and then I got a
Yeah.
job at a warehouse.
Ooh, now that's a backbreaking job right there. Okay,
Yeah, but
so
I've been there for 10 years, and it's not that bad.
okay, so some of the stuff that you got to work on at Sony, well, not at Sony, but like for the PlayStation Now, I've always wanted to talk to a developer about these kind of things, and like I've talked to plenty of developers throughout my career, but like you said, NDAs and whatnot makes it a little difficult.
Yep.
Now,
It's
now,
been more than a decade though. I can talk about it a little bit.
nice. Okay, dev kit versus the stuff we get. What is
We got the PS4 dev kit.
Yeah, what is the
It
biggest
was
difference?
well, it's buggy, but so I'm mostly a 3D modeler and an artist person. I'm really not like, I mean, I know how to do like basic programming, but that was the stuff that the programmers worked on. You know, I kind of looked at it and they were, ripping their hair out trying to get it to work. So for me, I'm more on the artsy fartsy side of developing games. But yeah, they were buggy, and apparently that's normal. That's the only dev kit I really, had the opportunity to work with was the PS4. Well, I very briefly messed with the Ouya back before that came out.
Oh my
A
goodness.
little prototype Ouya when we're at Subscience, because we were gonna port the Deathbat game to that, but I don't think it ever happened because well, as you know from history, the Ouya didn't really go very well.
Yeah, actually, I work on I do a podcast and we actually brought that up to like obscure stuff. All right, so you worked on Oya. Okay, so for the Oya, wasn't the prototype the same as the one that was launched? Like, doesn't the one at launch you could still use it as kind of like a dev kit?
I never messed with it after it launched, so I'm actually not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I could have sworn, like for indie devs, they allow them to take it and it's fine. We can hear you. Okay, the mic's just a bit high. Okay, so it's just the mic sounds a bit high. That's all it is. All right. Hopefully, I sound good because that's my
Yeah,
problem.
you sound good. You sound good on my end.
Yeah.
The fact that I sound good to you though makes me think it might be something about the software between my mic and Twitch, but I don't know. I'm a tech boomer, so
Okay.
for all I know, I plugged it in wrong or
Well,
something.
no, it all depends on the mic because I went out. I used to have like this Blue Yeti mic. I love that mic. Problem is, it picked up on everything, and I do mean everything. A fly can be like on the other side of the room, and like zip from room one wall to the next, and you'll hear it on the mic. So like, I get it happens. It took me forever to find like a microphone. I went and got the Elgato Wave XLR and the Wave mic. I was like, you know what? I gotta do something about this. And right now, for those who are subscribed and who aren't seeing ads, we're just trying to pad out a little bit and wait for 30 more seconds for these dumb ads to go
Man,
away.
that's a long ad. My goodness.
I do not, and Twitch is getting worse about it. I don't care what Twitch thinks. They're getting worse about it. I would go on to a different person's Twitch and be like, oh, I'm gonna show support to this small streamer because I like doing that. I'm a small streamer, so I like supporting other small streamers. And they'll be sitting there like, okay, you gotta wait for a minute and a half, 2 minutes for ads. I was like, yo, bro,
That's
I,
long, man.
yeah, it's like I kind of don't want to do that, and it really doesn't help when you're a
It's on a
small streamer.
platform that encourages short attention span too, so that's really kind of ironic.
It's really weird, yeah. You can jump on there and support their Patreon, and you could also follow Chasen on X/Twitter. He is there as Undying Nephilim, and
All
yeah,
the
go ahead and click on
confusing
that.
names. I'm sorry.
Yeah, bro, it's okay. My name is Fox Daddy on the internet, and I have some people like, yeah, man, I kind of don't want to call you that. It's like, oh no, it's cool. You can call me Foxy, Fox, Foxy D. It is all right. It's like I'm not calling you Foxy D, but cool, man. So hey, I get it. It's the names hey, that's what captures people. It's like, oh man, Undying Nephilim. I don't know what that is, but I kind of want to check it out now. But hey, more importantly, getting back to you, Jason. Okay, so you only worked on one game for the PlayStation 4.
Yeah,
How long were you guys actually working on? Well, I guess how long were you working on that project?
I was working on that project for about, I want to say between 4 to 6 months, and it was in 2013. So yeah, probably about 6 months because it was around January I started working on it, and then I left in the summer. Um, so yeah, that was the only game I worked on the PS4, and then I kind of shuffled around trying to find a stable job until I ended up at Subscience Studios, and I was there for almost 2 years, and that was a cool little job.
Okay, so man, we got to bring it up now. It is a very strange time to be in the video game industry right now. There are more and more independent game developers coming out from big companies who are just like, you know what? I'm sick of the rigmarole. I'm just gonna go off and do my own thing. And recently, there's been a lot of layoffs in the past, what, 2 years? I mean, it was
Yep.
bad. It was bad since 2020 for obvious reasons. But for the past year and a half, 2 years, it has been just
It's
horrific.
been a slaughter. It's been
It has been.
now all this. I've just been keeping track of this Ubisoft stuff recently, and it's like there's so many things going on. It's like every other day, like, and I'm like unfazed by it now because it seems so normal. Just
And
crazy things happening in the video game industry all the time now.
yeah, and it's so wild. And as someone who like works in it, who is a video game journalist and now content creator side, for my 11, 12 years of being a video game journalist, like we've heard of layoffs. That's fine, okay. Like, well, not fine, but like we've
Yeah.
heard of layoffs. But of this caliber, with all
For
these
so many
companies,
companies too. Like I remember back in the day, like Blizzard would every year, 2 years, Blizzard would lay off like 1,000 employees. That Blizzard was always known for just mass layoffs every other year or whatever. But yeah, this is like
now it's
almost
everybody.
every major company. Like I won't be surprised if in a week we find out Nintendo fires half their staff or something. Like
Oh man. Okay,
it's just every other week it's something crazy now.
that's when it's bad when Nintendo has to let go a majority of their people. That's when I would say this is going to be a pandemic.
Yeah.
When even Nintendo can't even get by, that would be terrible. So while working on the PlayStation 3, I know you. I mean, not PlayStation 3, but PlayStation 4. We will get to StarFox Horizon. We will get to it. But I am still so interested in finally talking to somebody who were able to work within the industry and can talk about certain things.
I'll do my best.
Now, when you guys were working on your soon-to-be canceled project, did you guys find out mid-development that hey, this might get dropped, or did you find out like everybody else? It was just like, oh, hey, by the way, guys, I forgot to tell you, but womp womp, this project is no more.
I got the feeling it was gonna get dropped before it was. Trying to think of how to phrase this. I mean, I was included in this, but the team was largely inexperienced at the time,
Hmm.
and myself included. It was my literal first job out of college. And in my opinion, there was too many inexperienced people working on it, and they needed more people with experience, kind of managing things. And I think I wasn't there at any of the meetings or anything. I actually left just a little bit before it was canceled, but I have a feeling the higher ups, the people at well, there was an intermediary company between Sony and the studio, but I have a feeling they saw it and they're like, nah, this just doesn't. I have a feeling. I mean, I saw the trailer for actually that give me a great example of what was going on. There was like a really good trailer that was made for it. It was like high poly cinematic models and everything. It looked really good. And I remember one day, one of the people there told me, "Hey, can we have this building and like put it in the engine in the game?" And I'm like, "That building is so many polygons. Like even with the power of the PS4, it's not gonna work. Like I need to decimate this building or completely remodel it. We can't just port it from the cinematic from E3 into the game." So it was that kind of stuff. That kind of, even though I was really experienced, even I could tell I'm like, you should know this. So, my humble opinion, it was a bunch of enthusiastic but people with not a lot of experience, and Sony wanted something more professional looking for a brand new launch title for the PS4. So, that's what I think happened. I wasn't in any of the meetings though, so I don't know the real reason why it was canceled.
Okay, so have you kept in contact with any of the people that you worked with in the past? You guys ever talk about like, man, remember the good old days when we used to work in office?
From that game, I kept in contact with several people for a few years after that, but it's probably been about 5 years since I talked to anyone who worked on that project. Yeah, I've kind of really, I don't want to say turned my back on the video game industry, but I really have kind of separated from it. I really, and it looks like I made the right decision. It's only gotten crazier since 2014.
Oh yeah.
Like
Well,
I was really close to getting into Blizzard, and I'm
oh,
really glad I didn't in retrospect.
you might have had to worked in the Reforged game that
Oh my god, yeah, yeah.
everybody hates.
Well, yeah, Warcraft 3 is kind of what started it all. And yeah, when Reforged came out,
Yeah.
that was sad.
Yeah.
Um,
Not even the hardcore fanboys was able to
Even I
defend
don't
that
even know
game.
if I could have saved it.
Okay, so we do have a question from the chat. Question
All right.
from Crystal Archive. Who, by the
Ooh,
way,
it's probably Mr. Crystal.
yes, by the way, shout out to Crystal Archive. They
I
my
think he was the
puppy.
last person that interviewed me. Actually,
Oh, sweet! I got my
I
puppy
think
in
it
a
was almost 10 years
HSC.
ago. He'll know the date. I think it was almost 10 years ago now.
Yeah, yeah. So shout out to Crystal Archive. They keep up with a lot of stuff that is StarFox within the fandom. I reached out to them a while ago and told them about my interview with Mr. Stell and Mr. Chasen, and got back to me late because everybody's been busy. I've been busy. You've been busy. Stell's been busy. Mr. Crystal Fox have been. Mr. Crystal's been busy. It's tough. That's one of the things about collaborating with other creatives is that you gotta try and get the scheduling just right, and it doesn't always work out. But when it does and it comes together, it's awesome. Like right now, we're up to 9 viewers because Chasen is awesome, and everybody wants to hear more about him. Uh,
Aw.
and yeah, if you guys would check out Crystal Archive's website, he has other interviews from Estelle, and I believe even from Chasen. Probably not even just 10 years ago, probably earlier than that, probably later than that too.
I want to say it was 2015, but I don't remember
Okay,
exactly. Yeah, I
okay.
think he's got interviews with Elijah Glidewell too. He's got a few up there. It's a really good nexus of anything having to do with Crystal and Star Fox.
Yeah. So yeah,
Been using that website for years.
yeah. I'm surprised when I discovered it. I was like, why did I not know about this sooner? But yeah, check out Crystal Archive. Guy's pretty awesome. So continuing on about game development, right before we get to Star Fox Horizon, because that's our big thing. I want to know more about Chasen. Crystal Archive did ask question for when you feel like it. Come on, man. We always feel like it. That's why we're here. We're here to ask Chasen all the questions. Why the name Undying Nephilim? I know about Nephilim from the Bible, but is there a more specific reason for your alias?
Yeah, that actually is where the name came from. But it at the time when I picked the name, I believe I was picking the name for Gaia Online. I don't know if anyone remembers that website. And I was looking through the name of different like angelic beings because I wanted to my avatar because on Gaia they all had like these angel wings that you could pick, and I was gonna pick Undying Seraphim, but that was taken. So I'm looking through different angelic beings and I find Nephilim, and it's like, oh, it's a hybrid of a human and an angel. I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. I'm gonna pick Undying Nephilim, and then years later I kind of this is why I drifted away from the name. I kind of realized the Nephilim are a very terrible. Very dark and very terrible story, so I kind of drifted away from that name. But yeah, it was the same beings from the Old Testament story that destroyed the world.
Oh well, I'm sure Andros would love you then. It's like, oh,
It was,
you're a world destroyer. Well, I can use someone like you. Which, by the way, when we do talk about Star Fox Event Horizon, I do have a couple of videos from Ice Cream Man himself, but that's where you can find on his YouTube as Ice Cream Man.
I much
Um,
prefer that name now. It's much happier than Undying World Destroyers.
but we will be checking out a couple of videos from Chasen's YouTube page. He has some pretty cool stuff up there, cinematics starring Star Wolf, and a couple of things. Also, some test runs from Event Horizon. So we'll check that out soon. So, Jason, all right, tell us a little more about your career, about you right now during your solo career, and working pretty much on your own. Like I know you have somebody making music and stuff for you, but it has to be difficult trying to build a whole project by yourself.
Yeah, it's one of those things where 10 years ago, I was more than happy to just work on it by myself because I had so much more energy. But yeah, as I'm getting older, I'm losing energy. I probably should get some more help. But I don't know. I'm weird. I don't mind just working on things by myself. I'm not really sure what to say about that. Uh, and it's kind of inaccurate to say I work by myself. I have gotten help from other people over there, but it's never like someone who's constantly working with me. Like I'll usually get help from there's this guy who knows the engine that I'm using for StarFox. Every now and again, he'll just whip up something that helps with the project. Like he got the Landmaster to work for me, and so there have been other people that have come in and out, both with the StarFox and my Zelda game. So it's technically not just me, but it is like probably like 90% me.
Okay, so it's like a small community that helps out.
Yeah, I'd call it like an. It's kind of like a revolving door of people that'll help out now and again.
Okay. So I know earlier you said you weren't much of a programmer. How much has changed since you started doing these kind of things on your own? Like you,
I still hate programming. I still remember when I was in college, my first programming class. I took it and I had to make an entire little game from scratch in 2 weeks, and I was ready to just rip my hair out after that. I'm like, I'm not a programmer. This is not me. So all the programming that I do is out of it's. I don't want to say out of spite, but it's like through gritted teeth. Like I don't want to do it.
okay. See, when I took game design back in high school, no programming, by the way. They would just teach us the bare basics. We use Maya.
That's the software I use to model things.
Okay, and we were using Maya, and we were learning how to design from 2D to 3D. It's like, oh, okay, this is actually kind of fun. And then we had to learn a little bit about animation. Animation, not that bad. But then as you go into forward, you're like, yo, this is kind of difficult. And then you have to bring in, all right, now there's programming. There's C plus. There's all this. I'm like, I don't know any of these languages. I can't do this. So yeah,
LUA.
man, you take one look at the like coding for dummies or coding for beginners, and it's just like, no, man, there's no way I can't do that. So I myself never even tried to learn how to code. I think when it came to coding, the most I did was the bare basic
Hello World.
Hello World. Yeah,
Hello World. Yeah.
that's as far as I got.
I can do Hello World, but after that, I can't do. I think I. And Estelle will even agree with me because she's told me this and she's worked with programmers and artists too. I really think you need a certain type of mind to enjoy programming. The same thing for doing artsy fartsy stuff. There's people who'll be like, how did you make like that painting? Like they can't even comprehend it, and it just seems like crazy to them. So there's a type of mind that is well suited to programming, and I think neither you nor I have that kind of mind for programming.
I do not. Like I said, once I got through Hello World, I was like, yeah, this isn't bad. And you look at the stuff, be like, you know what? I'm good right here. I'll stick with just modeling things. Yeah. Okay. From our chat, let's see. Crystal Archive says programming is so fun. So I guess Mr. Crystal is the one that
he's got the mind for it.
Mind. Yeah, I do not. Let's see. Tio, hey yo, how's it going, Tio? First time chat, welcome. Crystal Kingdom General. Thanks that your name Undying Seraphim. I'm sorry, the name Seraphim is sounds sick. So I guess
that's the name I originally wanted to pick on, but it was taken on Gaia Online.
Yeah, well, he thinks it sounds sick.
Yeah, I thought it sounded pretty cool. I agree, but it was taken, so I picked something not nearly as cool.
Yeah, I still think it's pretty cool. So Crystal Kingdom General asks, what is your favorite level from the older demos, like the ones you've made almost 10 years ago?
For Star Fox Event Horizon?
I think it might be like from your career. Did you ever get to like test out or try out in the games that you were working on?
Well, yeah, I played the Deathbat Avenged Sevenfold full game. I worked on that one quite a bit. I never got to play a fully complete level in the game I worked on for Sony. But if they mean like from the old StarFox Event Horizon game,
Oh yes, okay, yeah. They're asking about Event Horizon.
the my favorite, I guess, old level, which will probably get remade at some point. It was a level that takes place in Sector Z when you encounter aperoids. It was a pretty experimental level, and you fight like an infested Cordarian ship, and you go through like this tunnel of debris, and you end up fighting like a giant armored aperoid. That's probably my favorite old level. That is almost, I think it is 10 years old. No, this is like 2015, so it's almost 10 years old now.
Oh
That was
goodness.
probably my favorite level, and that one's probably still gonna make it back in.
All right, and let's see. Chris, no, I'm sorry. Jeremy Gaming asks, question for Neff. Where did your interest for Star Fox come from? Was it from Star Fox Adventures because of the amount of Dinosaur Planet and Serenia lore added to Event Horizon?
I got into Star Fox because of 64, and I guess I had a really weird introduction to Star Fox. It was at a friend's birthday party, and this was probably in '98 or '99. And they had a birthday party at an arcade, and this arcade, they made like an arcade cabinet out of Star Fox 64, which I've never seen anywhere else. They like, I don't know how they did it, but they turned Star Fox 64 into like an arcade game. So that was my first experience with 64. I'm like, this is really cool, but I couldn't even get past Corneria, the first level. Um, and I thought that was so cool. I was like, is this a game I could like actually get? Because at the time it was kind of hard to get arcade games, especially for like 3D games. They Not a lot of them were ported yet. I mean, there
Right.
was like Soul Calibur that was on the Dreamcast, but my father found out that yeah, Star Fox 64 existed, and a few months later he got me Star Fox 64, and that was, I actually think Star Fox 64 is the very first game I ever completed to where I saw ending credits. And I remember when at that age, I thought that was like the weirdest thing ever. I'm like, wait, games have ending credits? Because a lot of the games I played before that were, you know, like simulators like Sim City and Roller Coaster Tycoon. They don't really have like a an end point.
Right. So
You know,
you
I'd
just
played
kept
Ocarina of
going.
Time and Super Mario 64 at that point, but I hadn't beaten them yet. So like, I just remember getting like beating Star Fox 64 and seeing ending credits, and like as an 8-year old, 9-year old kid thinking this is weird. I didn't know video games had this.
Oh man. Let's see. Tio says I'm a big fan of Crystal. Drew her back in middle school. Still drawing her now. I think a lot of people are big into Crystal. In fact,
Yep.
she is probably one of the characters that a lot of people can say is the reason that they became furries in the first place.
Yep.
It's like
It's a
oh
meme at this point.
yeah, it's like oh she woke something
It's
inside of
like
me. It's
for
like
the 2000s, it's like before the 2000s, there's like Maid Marian and Lola Bunny, and then after the
Lola.
2000s, it's the Judy Hopps and that new wolf from that new cartoon now. But in the 2000s, it was Crystal.
Oh, Diane, Diane Fox from Bad Guys, the mayor.
I haven't seen that show yet. I've seen ads for that show though on streaming.
Yeah, yeah. The movie, I like the movie. The movie was good. But Diane, yeah, I could see her being the reason that a
For the
lot of people,
2020s.
yeah, for 2020, they're like, I growing up, you know, I saw Bad Guys, and that's what happened to me. For a lot of people, it's gonna probably like Mr. Wolf and Diane, so like it's gonna capture them. Let's see. I really don't like this. I want to change this so bad. So for me, yeah, you know, Star Fox Adventures was the game that I played a lot on GameCube. Never finished it, and it was the game I was like, why are they on foot? Why? I thought I was supposed to be in a spaceship. Why are there dinosaurs? What is going on here? But I still liked it, and because I played Star Fox 64, and I was like, this is what it's supposed to be like. Yeah, the joystick that's like a flight stick for you. So you're like, I don't know. It just felt like you were flying uh, an X-wing. That's what they were. They were X-wings and Tie fighters.
Yep.
But it was so fun to play. But I haven't played Star Fox Command or any other ones. Unfortunately, Star Fox, I never played Zero. I heard how bad it was, but I was like, well, is it bad or is it just disappointing? Like, okay, well, it's disappointing. It's like, okay, well, that's different. Kind of like Metroid
Yeah.
Other M. For anybody who remembers Other
Yeah, I
M.
remember Other M. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those two games are pretty comparable for slightly different reasons. I think the problem with Zero, other than the fact that it's a very strange control scheme, which, with enough practice, people have obviously gotten through the game. So I think the problem with Zero is it's a reboot of 64. It's basically an HD version of 64 with some extra levels and things, rearranged. And I don't think anyone just really wanted that at the time.
Yeah.
That's kind of my opinion on Zero. It was a game no one really wanted, so even if it was good, I'll just go back and play 64, which has already been remade once on the 3DS.
Which is really weird because we've been hankering for a new StarFox. So everybody was excited for Other M. Everybody was excited for Zero, and they got their hand on it. It's like, yeah, no, this isn't what we wanted from these respective franchise. Let's see, Crystal Kingdom. Oh, hey, Crystal Kingdom.
Cool name. I think that's a cool name.
That is a cool name. Has it not been 300 seconds yet? Crystal Archive, I'm sure you have something to ask. But Crystal Kingdom General says, I'm a fan of Crystal, but how exactly did she become popular? From my intel, she was kind of an artifact in the series. Some loved her, others hated her. Japan especially hated her, which is one reason for Command. Yeah, so it was always kind of weird. I think it's because a lot of people, they just wanted Fox. They didn't really want another character. Slippy was always kind of teetering on fan favorite, but everybody wanted.
Slippy was the hated one before.
Yeah. Everybody wanted Fox, Falco, and Slippy. And then you bring okay, we're gonna bring this new character, Crystal, and she's gonna become this love interest for Fox in a way. And I think for a lot of fans at that time, it was just, we don't care about some princess. This isn't Zelda. We're not here to save the princess. We're here to fly spaceships and destroy.
It's a Zelda game, technically.
Right? Yeah. Plus, I don't think it helped that a lot of the fans at the time didn't really care for adventures because of the whole Dinosaur Planet kind of thing that they had going on. So I think it was kind of like it was working against Crystal at the time.
Yeah, I mean, at least she ended up becoming super popular, but yeah, especially in retrospect, because at the time, strangely enough, not Dinosaur Planet, but StarFox Adventures, it was the first game that I was aware of, long before it came out, because back then I didn't really have the internet. I didn't have, any gaming magazines or whatever, so most games, they came out and, they're out, But somehow StarFox Adventures, I think I saw a commercial almost a year before it came out. So that was the first game I knew long before it came out. And I was waiting for it to come out. And I forgot where I was going with this. I don't remember where I was going with. I don't remember what it was related to that you said. But
no. We were wondering how Crystal went from being one of the most hated characters to being beloved by the fans.
See, now, again, I wasn't really on the internet heavily back in 2002, but from my perspective at the time, and even in the years after, I never really got the impression she was hated. I got the impression that everyone thought she was pretty cool, and then I feel like that peaked around 2009 when there was all these Crystal websites everywhere. There was the Crystal Lovers Association. What was some of the other ones? I feel like a lot of the dislike for Crystal is. It was kind of under the surface, and now 20 years later, now that it's so far in the past, that now there's people who are a little more, I guess, vocal about how much they don't like Adventures in Crystal. But at the time, I even, I've all the magazines and everything. StarFox Adventures reviewed well. It's, I think, the second highest selling, might be the third highest selling StarFox game. At the time it came out, I never really got the impression that it was hated or that Crystal was hated. And again, I can only speak for myself and my friends, but before Adventures was announced and it came out, we did want to run around on foot. It was always in multiplayer, we liked running around with the bazooka. And we're like, man, it would be so cool if there was a game. Now, 20 years later, I've gone back on that. I much preferred flying around in a ship. But at the time, I again, I can only speak anecdotally, but we all thought that was awesome. Like, oh, cool, we can get out of the R wing and run around and beat things up. That's really cool. Like, so that at the time, in the pre-internet days, that's what Adventures was like. But as I did some research, there was people in the StarFox fandom that were not happy with that game when it came out.
Yeah. Yeah, you brought up the multiplayer. Tio says that Assault had a real fun multiplayer. Would love to see it online in a remake. To be honest, if they did a remake, and there goes my puppy. And honestly, if they did a remake, I think that the online would get a boost. I think they'd work on it a bit more, and probably.
I would play Assault online if they did a remake and it was internet capable. I'd play it online. I played the multiplayer Assault quite a bit back in the day. That I'd cycle between that and Halo 2, and then Halo 3 when that came out.
Oh man, Halo 2 and 3 was peak. Oh my god, man.
Yep.
Halo 3 was it. Hey, Crystal Archive is back. They're back from being timed out. I got rid of that stupid rule, by the way, Crystal Archive. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. It says, sorry, Fox. I heard you wanted me to talk about something, but I kept getting ads, so I can't say anything. So sick of these ads. I just gotta turn them off. I do not care for these ads. Jeremy Gaming 22 said apparently Japan hates Crystal is a myth. I really do hope so.
Yeah, that's news to me. I've not heard that Japan hates Crystal is a thing. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I guess I've just never heard that.
Man, I hope that's also a myth. Let's see. He also says, by the way, Crystal Kingdom is the call sign given to the Pacific Federation Military's HICOM. Did not know that. That I learned something new.
Which federation?
Pacific Federation.
From
Which is a real life
Pacific
thing.
Rim? I'm not sure which federation that is.
That's actually pretty cool that Crystal Kingdom is a call sign. Crystal Archive.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That was cool.
Yeah, that's a cool detail. Crystal Archive says, I don't think Crystal was ever hated. Traditional StarFox fans just didn't know what to do with her.
That's fair enough.
And somebody didn't tweet, but talked to Crystal Archive and said, why the fans can't have nice things one-on-one. Yeah, no, it's true, because you don't know what you want until you have it. And then we had it, and we didn't know we wanted Crystal. And I was all like, oh, Crystal's part of the StarFox crew.
See, when I first played Adventures and, it opens up playing as Crystal, I don't know, maybe it's just because I was a huge Zelda fan at the time. I was immediately hooked. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, there's this weird blue fox flying around on a dinosaur. She's got, like, this awesome, like, fucking Jaffa staff from Stargate. Like, I just thought it was really... Well, she loses the staff early in the game, but...
Oh, yeah, Fox has the staff.
Yeah, he ends up getting the staff, but I just thought that was cool. Before the game came out, I was, someone else in the chat earlier said they drew her in middle school, and I drew an image of Crystal like months before the game came out, but I didn't realize like the staff was hers because the art was always Fox with the staff. So I gave her a bow and arrow in that old drawing. Like I always thought before I even really knew anything about the character, I'm like, oh, that's a cool looking character, and I always wondered, oh, where's she from? Like.
Yeah.
And we all we have is Serenia, and that's basically it. We never really found out where exactly she's from her history, but
yeah, actually, Crystal Archive says now people like Crystal because she's blue, pretty, different from the rest of the team, and she's got a mysterious backstory. It is always kind of cool that Crystal was that character that's like very little, like, oh, she's a princess. Okay, well, what about her planet? Who's the king and queen? Like, does she have any siblings? Like, what exactly do they do? Like, oh man, I want to know so much more about her. She just leaves her kingdom. It's like, I'm gonna fly in space and have space dog fights. It's like, that's a whole different thing for a princess to do. Okay, cool.
Yeah, if there's one complaint I had, I feel like with Assault or whatever game they were gonna make after Adventures, they should have shown her like slowly becoming acclimated. And I'm doing this in Event Horizon, so they should have shown her slowly becoming acclimated to the R Wing and that whole world where she's kind of like an outsider, and she's almost like a child that's like in a candy store where she doesn't quite understand all the stuff, and she's learning how things work, and it's kind of she's kind of like a wide-eyed child, like, wow, you guys have robots and flying cars and stuff. And
Crystal Archive did bring up Project Cursed. There was.
Oh my god!
I saw this in an interview with Estelle, and I had to look it up myself. And apparently, in StarFox Command, there was an alternate ending.
Oh no!
Where Crystal chooses not to be with Fox, but chooses to go to do her own thing, and she ends up becoming hated for some reason. And she ends up becoming like a bounty hunter called Cursed. I was like, well, that sounds like a really iffy ending, because it made no sense of why all of a sudden people were like, oh, it's her. She didn't get with Fox. Like, what? Why do you hate me for that? Maybe you don't know what happened to our relationship. It's so weird.
Command is a kind of a silly game. That's probably the nicest way I can put it.
I mean, it's also not canon for anybody who's like super.
According to Stella, it's not canon. Now, I've said this before, but some StarFox fans might kill me for saying this, but I actually don't hate StarFox Command. In fact, I've probably played StarFox Command more than any other StarFox game.
Really?
I don't hate it, but it's definitely a very strange game in terms of it's basically character assassination, the game.
Okay, so Crystal Kingdom General did correct me. It's not based off a real life Pacific command. High Command. The Pacific Federation is from Project Wingman.
Oh, I played Project. Yeah, yeah, the game where you're flying around in the jets. Yeah, I played Project Wingman. I don't remember anyone being called that in the game. Yeah, I played Project Wingman, so
That's pretty boss.
I don't know how I forgot about that.
He's like, hey, found that old drawing with the bow and arrow. That might be one of the first Crystal fan arts ever.
I have it. I posted it on Twitter. I could post it again on Twitter after this interview. Let me go find it. I could send it to you. I don't know if you can put it up on the screen during the stream.
Oh, I will.
Let me go see if I can find it.
Yeah. By the way, there it is. Chasen's X/Twitter. If you want to check it out for yourself, there you go. There's a link. You can go over there. You can follow him. And let's see if you can find it. Let's see. Crystal Kingdom General. Basically, through terrible plot writing, she abandoned Fox, goes to Wolf, becomes a pariah. That's right. That's right. She
joined Star Wolf.
She joined Star Wolf for a while before she breaks off and does her own thing. I forgot about that.
The funny thing, though, is unless I'm misremembering, Star Wolf kind of sort of redeems himself in that game. So it's kind of weird that everyone hates them and Crystal, even though they kind of help Starfox.
There's a mission where he comes in and he interferes or something that gives Starfox a chance to completely save the day. But because Command has so many different branches, it's kind of tough to be like, well, which one do you want to be canon? It's like, well, none of them have a great ending.
Yeah, there's one positive ending, but it's one of the hardest ones to get in the game, and I can guarantee you most people never got it, because it's the one when Fox and Crystal they do get married and they have a child, and then he goes on to make another Star Fox team. But that's one of the harder endings to get, so most people probably never even got that ending.
It's really weird. I don't know if it came from Crystal Archive or another Star Fox wiki or something, but somebody did draw out a map to get all the possible endings, including Star Fox and not Star Fox, but Fox and Crystal getting together. And I forget the name of their son. But for Marcus, yeah. And it's really weird because the alternate ending for Marcus is, I become the new leader of Star Fox. I find another wingman that looks like Falco but isn't Falco. And Falco,
I thought that was Falco.
No. There's someone who looks like Falco but isn't. But Falco's also there. Only he takes the part of like Pepper. He takes the rings as the man in the chair.
Yeah,
of way. And
he's the old seasoned ace pilot. Yeah.
yeah, and there's also another Slippy. No, I know it might be one of Slippy's kids. Oh, I do have.
Yeah, it's a Slippy with the cowboy hat, I think. I don't remember another Falco guy. Let me look this up.
I might be wrong, but I do know there's an ending where Slippy decides that he's just gonna get married and have kids. Like, hey, one mission, I'm done. And I think even with Marcus ending, they kind of took that part too. And Marcus and one of Slippy's kids, one of his sons, they meet up and start StarFox again. This is like,
Yeah, it's only the little
kinda
cowboy
cool.
hat.
Yeah, it's really weird. Let's see. Crystal Archive StarFox Command is all right. It's very good for a portable game. And Crystal Kingdom says a mission. Me Too is a good time killer, but not much more. Story needs a lot more though, and I think that might be the thing. Is that for a lot of people because it was just like a handheld game, so it wasn't terribly long.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, I think what ruins it for people is that Star Fox Command wasn't canon. Like
Yeah, well,
I don't think Nintendo even sees it as a canon anymore.
I have a feeling one of the reasons, because this is also another thing where I feel like the perceptions changed over time. Because when Command came out, most people I knew didn't seem to hate it, and I was on the internet at that time. It seems like over time people kind of grew to despise it, and one of the reasons I think is just because that's kind of the end, so to speak, of that particular Star Fox timeline. And in fact, I found out years later, although I might need to double check, but that game was supposed to be like the end of Star Fox, and oh, you pick the
Really?
ending you want. And they're almost all like really bad endings. So I'm like, this is a really bizarre way for this whole series to like wrap up. Like most of the endings, the team splits apart, and half the
Yeah.
characters are depressed.
Yeah. Oh, there was an ending where Falco became so depressed because Fox said, "Hey man, me and Crystal were gonna jet," and Sleep was like, "Yeah, me and my girl were gonna jet." So Falco was all by himself.
It just becomes emo.
Yeah, and another character from, oddly enough, Crystal's old crew, gets with
I mean,
Falco.
I think it's Cat.
Cat, yeah,
Yeah.
Cat. She meets up with Falco and it's like, yeah, forget them. Let's make our own crew, and they just start a whole new thing. I think what they call what were they called?
God, I literally just saw the other day because I was looking at because that gang is in one of the comics from before Star Fox Adventures comes out. In Command they end up calling themselves Star Falco, but they had a different name in the
Okay.
comic. I want to say they were called the Hot Rodders or something. Someone I know Mr. Crystal will know. He'll answer. He'll know.
Cat has such a strange look in that game. Oh yeah, Tio says that Cat looks strange in the game.
Yeah, a lot of the character designs in Command are very strange. They all got like the big Funko Pop heads,
yeah,
and
especially Marcus. Marcus,
yeah,
they tried to make him look like Fox, but with Crystal's color scheme, and it just looks so strange to be honest. It almost like Fox just dyed his whole body. And this is when I found when I started looking into more Star Fox stuff. Fox's dad name is James, but
Yep.
they just call him Fox. So Fox's name is technically James Jr. He's named after his father, which is kind of cool. And me and a friend was talking about this. Fox's dad is just Fox, Star Fox. It's just Fox McCloud with cool aviators on.
Yep.
And at the end of Command, I guess they make that reference by having Fox wear aviators, so he looks just like his dad. It's like, all right, man. But it was like, that's just lazy. That's just Star Fox. I mean, that's just McCloud. He's like, well, I mean, he looks like his dad. And unfortunately, for some reason, his mom is only seen in a picture during the comics.
In the 1992 or 93 comic. I think it's 92. It's like 94. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking. I'm so bad with dates.
which the comics were supposed to be the introduction into the game.
And the Star Fox 2 that never, well, it did come out eventually, but
Which came out eventually, yeah. So it's really strange. So I did not know, and this goes to show just how much I pay attention to Star Fox. I did not know Fox's mom was dead. I just thought she was on a different planet.
apparently she might not be. For years, everyone thought she was dead because I think it said in that comic she was killed in a car bomb, but the guy that one of the guys that developed StarFox, Imamura, he said his Fox's mother's still alive, but she has a very estranged relationship with Fox, so they don't really talk with each other because yeah. So I don't know. I don't know which one's canon. Did she die in a car bomb, or did she disown her son? I don't know.
You know, that's
she might be alive in a future Star Fox game. That's kind of how I interpreted that.
You know, I think that's what it is. I think Fox just made up the story that his mom is dead because she's dead to him, and he doesn't want to
keep her safe or something. Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. It's like
maybe, yeah. That's an interesting. Ooh, I might take that idea. To kind of protect his mother, she kind of has like an alternate identity, and he just tells everyone she died in a car bomb. That's kind of gruesome, actually.
You know, I'm surprised Command didn't go that route to where he's like, yeah,
that feels like something that'd be in Command.
Me and my mom don't get along, so I don't like talking about her. So I just tell people she's
like
dead.
The super secret ending where you unlock Fox's mom, and you find out he did some he made some convoluted scheme to fake her death to keep her safe from Andross or something.
You know, that'd be awesome. You know what? That would probably make Star Fox Zero a little more interesting for fans. It's like, oh, you know what? I like this now. Let's see the comic. Yeah, okay. I caught up. Crystal Kingdom General. The comic introduced themselves as the Hot Rodders. She's talking about Team Falco.
Okay, yeah, that was Hot Rodders. Yeah, I was right. Yeah,
as the Hot Rodders.
I'm not crazy.
But it could also be Free as a Bird.
Free as a Bird. That was okay. That's what I was.
That's the problem. There's no set name for Falco's team, and it's really strange. So there is Star Falco. So there's Star Falco, and Crystal Archive coming in with the knowledge. The comic
he's got it.
the comic is Farewell Beloved Falco. The characters you are thinking of are the team is Free as a Bird, also known as the Space Hot Rodders, or simply the Hot Rodders. So they just had nicknames. That's the thing. So they were all three of those things. So
actually, I really like that little comic. It's a pretty good little comic. It's a pretty good prequel going right into adventures. Yeah, I like all the Star Fox comics. I'm kind of surprised that. Actually, I tried to make one myself years ago. Again, if you dig in the bowels of the internet, you'll find it. But I'm kind of surprised that there's never been like a series of Star Fox comics. I actually feel like it's a really good medium for Star Fox, kind of like they did with Sonic.
It's really weird because Nintendo, for Zero, and I do have this glitter thing on here. I had a little kid tell me I had glitter in my beard, but I couldn't find it. And every now and again,
I don't see it on my end.
But Nintendo for Star Fox Zero, they did a Star Fox animation, and it looks so good.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, and it's like Nintendo.
They even mentioned soya in it.
It's like Nintendo, do more of that. Like you want people to get interested in Star Fox again, or are you just not interested in Star Fox? Like you can do those kind of things, please. We want more cool Star Fox stuff.
Yeah, I've got conflicting information on why exactly Star Fox is kind of like dead. I'm not sure what's true or not because I know there's people. I'm not going to name names, but I know there's people at Nintendo or affiliated with Nintendo that do want to work on Star Fox games. But I've also heard that Nintendo doesn't actually completely own the rights to Star Fox, and I've had trouble verifying that. So if someone could figure that out for me, that might be one of the reasons. There might be actually a licensing issue with Star Fox, but I've not been able to verify that. There was what channel was it? There was some video I watched about a year ago. I think it was called "Why Nintendo Doesn't Make Your Favorite Games," and it was a video going over how a lot of Nintendo's IP isn't actually owned by them. Like Kirby, actually isn't owned by Nintendo; it's owned by HAL, and Nintendo just has a large stake in that company, through stocks. So they kind of own Kirby by proxy. And in that video, they go through different series, like mentioning, who owns what. And they mention Star Fox, but they don't actually say what other companies might own Star Fox. I don't know if that was a mistake in the video or if that's true. So, I don't know. If someone could figure that out, that might give some clue as to why we only get one Star Fox game every decade now.
Oh, see, now I want to look into that some more because that is interesting. Because I know Nintendo is in partnership with HAL, who makes some pretty cool stuff. They're just as great as Nintendo's Mario team when it comes to reinventing the wheel of their platforms, their platformers
Oh,
and their
which
games.
team?
The Nintendo's Mario team,
Oh,
um,
right, yeah.
how they when they work on Kirby and stuff, it's like, what more can you do with Kirby? And they're like, yeah, watch this.
Yeah.
And then they bring
Watch
something
this.
out, and you're like, oh snap,
Oh,
that looks
Kirby
so
eat a
cool.
car.
Yeah, you're like, there's nothing else you can do. That's what you think, and then they just come out with like this bomb idea, and you're just like, I guess Kirby can do that. Cool, man. Oh snaps. That's like Mario. It's like, what more can you do with Mario? You went to space. Space is like the ultimate thing. Once you go to space,
Yeah, well, yeah, that was like a
it.
meme back in the 90s. Like when you run out of ideas, oh, they go to space.
Yeah. And then Nintendo's like, oh, we're gonna go to space, and we're gonna come back and do some more cool stuff. Like, what more can you do? Odyssey was,
Space too.
Space too, yeah. And like, that was awesome. All right, well, here's Mario Odyssey. Oh snaps! Never mind, they still got it. Now we're gonna turn to elephants. Why? Why not?
Why not?
And then it's fun. You're like, you know what? I'm not gonna question you guys anymore. If you have ideas for it, I'm for it. Like, forget it. You're gonna turn to snakes. You have a cool idea for snakes. I bet you do.
Mario snakes.
So I'm just gonna accept it. Oh, but our chat. Let's see. Crystal Archive says the blue cat, guys, is named Cool with a K. I know
Cool
that.
cat.
Cool cat. Let's see. Crystal Kingdom General. I heard from someone that Fox's mom in the canon timeline is alive and well, living on Papatoon. So,
I believe it was Imamura who said that. Who is the guy who's responsible for a lot of commands? So maybe it's not canon. I don't know, but yeah. In the comics, his mother was killed in a car bomb by Andros accidentally, and then Imamura has 20 years later said, "Oh no, she's alive," but her and Fox don't really talk anymore because she doesn't approve of him being a mercenary.
That would make sense after what happened to his father. I mean, yeah, after what happened to his father. So like, why would you want to do the same thing your father did? And, if they would lean in that kind of stuff. See, the thing is, StarFox has always been kind of lighthearted with some, like, there's some darkness thrown in there. So I'm sure Nintendo's gonna probably like, we're not doing all that. What's wrong with
I
you
would
people?
say Star Fox has always been kind of meant for children, but the differences in the 90s, what was considered appropriate for children was much different than now.
Yeah.
Which, if you watch any cartoon from the 90s, like, Ren and Stimpy and Rocko's Modern Life and all even Rugrats, like the first season of Rugrats is, I can't imagine something like that being made in 2009. It's there were, I guess, higher standards for what was acceptable for children back then. I mean, even look at all the old Disney movies, like the go-to example's Bambi. Like, so I can imagine like a Star Fox game being made in 1995 where his mother is killed in a car bomb and or he has like a strange relationship with his mother because his father died. I could see that in the 90s, but maybe not modern Nintendo.
Yeah. They'd probably just be like, oh, Andros destroyed a planet, and Fox thought his mom was still there, but she was on vacation somewhere else.
She was on vacation on Zonus or something.
Yeah, she came back to find her planet destroyed. I don't know. But let's see. Our chat is getting pretty active. So, who is it? Thank goodness. Pre-roll ads are disabled for 48 minutes.
Nice.
Golly gee willikers. Thanks, Twitch. I'm so glad you finally
only an hour and 10 minutes into the interview, they disabled it for 48 minutes.
Let's see. Crystal Archive says, pretty sure Nintendo owns Star Fox completely. There were rumors that Microsoft partly owned Star Fox Adventures, but that wasn't true. That would kind of make sense when Microsoft decided to buy Rare, but I doubt Rare had any stake in Star Fox. But they also go to say, Nintendo generally can't figure out what to do with the series, and they generally didn't release games until they came up with a unique gameplay idea. Last time they had a unique idea, we got Zero, and that didn't work out so well. Same thing with F-Zero. They can't think of ways to advance the series. For F-Zero, I think Nintendo doesn't do F-Zero because they're just not interested in doing a racing game.
Yeah, racing games in general aren't as big as they used to be, but I love F-Zero. I especially love like the hover car racing games like Wipeout and the old Pod Racer game. I
Yeah.
love. So there's a new F-Zero kind of being remade right now.
Oh yeah, they had the battle royale F-Zero, F-Zero
So yeah, was it
99.
99?
Yeah.
I haven't tried that one yet, but I think just a few days ago they announced they're remaking. Someone in the audience will know. I think they're remaking the Game Boy Advance one on the Switch or something. It's got a different
Oh
name though.
wait, is it something that's just going to release on Nintendo Online membership?
Probably.
Or no, don't
Something
do that,
about a
man.
week ago with F-Zero was announced, and I don't know all the details.
I know
And I
that.
think it's a remake.
Well, I mean, they could also do what is it? They could just do the first F-Zero with like higher res graphics or something.
F1.
F10, there you go.
Yeah, just a remake of the original F-Zero. It's been long enough, and they've remade half the Zelda games, and they've even remade StarFox 64. Like, yeah, I should just remake the first F-Zero.
I would love that.
But it could be an interest thing. You might be right. They just no one there is interested. I don't know.
Crystal Archive says it was released on SNES in Japan.
The new F-Zero game?
No. I think you're talking about the. Crystal, are you talking about the one oh they're releasing F-Zero Climax.
That was it.
That was only released in Japan. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I didn't even know that was a Japanese-only game. So yeah, that's...
Well, I think maybe.
Okay, so it's not a
first.
remake. It's a port of an old Japanese-only title that never made it to the States. I hope they freaking port the D-Drive F-Zero game from the N64 someday. I've always wanted to mess with that. The one that lets you make your own tracks.
Nintendo would love to use that to just expand on F-Zero forever and ever. Oh wait, no, Crystal Archive changed it. It says sorry, not SNES, GBA. So like the Game Boy.
Okay, yeah,
okay.
yeah. I'm not going insane. I was remembering it right. I have such a bad memory lately that I'm always excited when I remember something correctly.
Let's see. Crystal Archive also says they also released a Kirby game on Switch Online a while back that only came out in Japan. Okay, so they're finally doing a thing to where they're bringing some of their Japanese games.
Mother 3, finally?
Well,
I think that's HAL, though, not Nintendo.
Yeah, the problem is they have to translate that, and I don't think they want to spend the money to translate Mother 3. They're translating Climax to English. So Nintendo will translate some stuff. So why not do Mother 3? Crystal Kingdom General says, I prefer GX, just maybe without the absurd difficulty level. I don't think I played GX. That was the GameCube one, right?
That's the GameCube one. Yeah, that one's pretty good. F-Zero X is still my favorite, though. I don't know what... I think maybe I'm just a boomer, and it's something about the way games on the N64 looks, but there's something about the atmosphere of F-Zero X. And it's the same thing with StarFox 64, the atmosphere of that game. Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, like, my favorite version of almost any Nintendo franchise is probably on the N64.
So, fun fact about me, I did not care for Majora's Mask.
That's not part of a take, actually.
But the thing is, like, I found it to be difficult for me. But my favorite is Twilight Princess, and Wind Waker. The two that people are just like, ugh, I don't want that. But like,
Twilight Princess is probably my favorite.
Yeah, Wind Waker
Depending on my mood, it's either Twilight Princess, Ocarina of Time, or Majora's Mask. I cycle between those three.
No, those are good games. I'm not gonna say they're bad. They're good games. It's just for me, I really enjoyed Wind Waker, and I really enjoyed Twilight Princess because I just thought they were just such cool games. They were just so vastly different from what we're used to with Zelda games. Like, oh yeah, you get dungeons, but now you get an open sea that you have trouble traveling. Or, yeah, we got dungeons, but now it's a little more open world, and you could turn into a wolf. And I was like, I'll turn to a wolf. Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, Twilight Princess, when that game came out, that blew my mind. And I want to say it's my favorite one. But I do really like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. I kind of consider those three like their own little trilogy, and then the rest is just kind of there.
Yeah. Although, for those who aren't keeping up with Zelda, Nintendo has come out and said that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are in their own separate timeline now.
Yep,
So they're
which
not.
I called. I called years ago.
So I
I mean, I
guess
even posted that on Twitter. I'm like, I called it.
yes, I guess it's going to be like a soft reboot for the franchise because I do know the director of that game said that they want to do more of those type of open world games for Zelda now. So I guess they decided the easiest way to do it, have its own timeline. We can do whatever we want, and we don't have to worry about people being like, "But it doesn't make sense because the hero of time wasn't there yet." It's like, all right, man, no, we're not
Yeah,
doing
it,
this.
it really those two games, especially the one that just came out, was it Tears of the
Tears of the
Kingdom?
Kingdom.
Like, if you do try to attach that to the other Zelda games, then implicitly there's two Ganondorfs in that game, which is really bizarre. So like, when they announced that, I'm like, see, I called it. Like, that's the only thing that I honestly I feel like even Skyward Sword was a reboot. I feel like
Wasn't Skyward Sword kind of like a retelling of a different Zelda game?
the way they advertised Skyward Sword is that it was an origin story for everything, and that it kind of was for the Master Sword, but it contradicts a lot of Zelda games after it. So it really, at least to me, it felt like a reboot. Like it felt like this is. Kind of like StarFox Zero. It's like this is a reboot. All the mythologies being reset. This is our new Zelda, whatever. But apparently it's still a prequel to almost all the other Zelda games, so I don't know. I really don't think they care.
You know what? I think that's what it is. It's just the fans kind of want more, and then when you have fun, you're like, yeah, there's a timeline. Years later, and games later, you're like, ah, man, that's right. We have a timeline. Uh, it fits between the hero losing, and we don't really. I don't know. When Ganondorf wins and Link dies. Yeah. But I do like when they brought up like, yeah, there's multiple heroes, there's reincarnations. There's not just one Link. It just happens that every hero is named Link. So now everybody just have their child named Link to try to be like he's the avatar now. This is my
See,
child Link.
to me, and I have the book here, the Ocarina of Time book. This is before there was any freaking timeline or anything. If you read this, the way it describes the Zelda games is like almost any medieval or ancient legend where it's kind of fragmented and there's multiple versions through the lens of different cultures. Great example, King Arthur, which I'm pretty sure Ocarina of Time was inspired by. There's like 10 different versions of all the different King Arthur legends and then all the legends of his knights, and they don't all match up because just so much time has passed. And
Yeah.
at least in the Ocarina of Time book, it's treated as there are like a bunch of historians who found all of these legends and they're trying to piece them together and they don't really fit together. So I always kind of interpreted Zelda, especially now, as these are like the same 5 different stories from the perspective of different cultures with different beliefs and stuff.
That's a fun way to look at it. I see you also have the Book of Hyrule behind you.
Oh yeah. Speaking of timelines, yeah, the book that they first showed the timeline in the Hyrule Historia, glorified Wikipedia entry.
Yeah, I actually have that book in my living room right now. I have that same one, but I haven't gotten the other ones. I know there's multiple books.
Yeah,
Like,
there's the encyclopedia one, which I don't have. I got that one as a gift, and I never got the rest because I just have Wikipedia. Kind of, I like having a book. I like
yeah,
books,
yeah.
but
So let's see. Crystal Archive says, Undying, I just purchased the F-Zero 64 expansion kit or the Nintendo 64 disc
oh,
drive. It just hasn't shipped yet. Oh my goodness.
that's amazing timing. Yeah, I've been wanting that since I found out about it
Where'd you
a
even
few years
find
ago.
that?
Japan, probably for a lot of money, I would
Damn.
guess. But I'm
Crystal
like, you can
Kingdom.
make your own tracks in it. This is awesome. I always wanted to do that.
Crystal Kingdom General says, as Perfect Cell and Future Trunks said, multiverse theory is a jerk. Man, when it comes to Nintendo, it definitely is. I think Nintendo likes to have fun with that kind of stuff, but their fans take it a little too serious. So it's just like,
Yeah.
man, we're just trying to have fun with it. So you know what? Forget it. Uh, seriously. Oh, also, for those who enjoyed Hyrule Warriors, Nintendo has officially made that non-canon.
Oh,
So even
I know someone who their favorite Zelda game is Hyrule Warriors. The guy who voices Fox in Event Horizon.
oh
Hyrule Warriors is his
no,
favorite Zelda game.
oh no, yeah, and Nintendo came out and just like, yeah, that's not canon at all. Not even for the reboot.
Did
It's like,
anyone consider that one canon even back in 2014? I didn't.
I did, because it was supposed to be the story about how the legendary warriors lost, and I wanted to see that. I was like, oh, that's cool, just for it to be like, yeah, nah, we don't care anymore. That's not canon. It's like, why not?
Or do you mean the new Hyrule Warriors,
Yeah,
the second
Hyrule-
one?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, the
Actually,
one-
I didn't hear that. I thought you were talking about the one from 2014.
Oh no, it was supposed to be the prequel to
The
Breath of the
prequel
Wild.
to yeah.
Yeah, but Nintendo was like, yeah, that's not canon. It's like, what? Why? I mean, there's no reason for
Maybe
that.
they're just purposely messing with people, which I can kind of appreciate, sort of, if that's true.
Unless you're trying to say that the next Zelda game you're working on, since you want to continue Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom path, the reason you're making that not canon is because
It's a prequel.
the next game you're making has a story about that. Because because when you play in the game, you see how powerful they are. You're like, how did you guys lose, like, at all? But, like, it was kind of cool to see that, but it's just like, why would you make that not canon?
Another thing to consider about this topic, and I get the timing is kind of amazing. There was a video I watched yesterday on that old Cloverfield movie, and how there's like all kinds of weird canon with that. And basically, the person who made the video is pointing out there was 4 people involved in making this movie, and they all had different ideas of what to do with the movie, and they all kind of were sneaking their own things in. And now, 15, 20 years later, there's like 4 different Cloverfield canons that don't make sense. Now, Zelda has been around even longer. There's been way more people who've put their stamp on Zelda, so there's just, there's gonna. I highly doubt, Miyamoto has the same ideas for Zelda that Onuma or Fujibayashi has, and I'm not surprised that it's a bit of a mess. You have different.
Yeah.
You have different people with different ideas, and Hyrule Warriors was made by, what was it, Team Ninja?
Oh,
Was it Team Ninja or
I'll look it up real
Tecmo
quick.
Koei or whatever? I always
I
forget.
think it might be Tecmo.
Tecmo, yeah. So like, they have different ideas. Like, they're not gonna gel. They're just not.
They're not. But the thing is, you think that they'd work with them, like, with the story, and be like, hey, this is what we're doing. These are the key points that we need you to hit. Other than that, make up the story that you like, or at least have somebody from Nintendo come over and be like, hey, I'm gonna write the story for you guys, and just make the game. But no, they're like, yeah, you do you. It was Koei, yeah, Koei Tecmo.
Tecmo Koei, yeah. Tecmo Koei, whoever that one is. The Dynasty Warriors people.
Yeah, those guys. But I enjoyed Cloverfield. No, was 10 Lane Cloverfield?
Oh, the second one, yeah.
Second one. So with John
The
Goodman?
one that really wasn't a Cloverfield movie, and it was just in the title. Yeah, that movie was fun.
That one I really enjoy. Crystal Archive says, yes, the N64 disk drive is very expensive. I bet it is.
I don't even want to know how expensive it is.
Oh, man. All right. So we're actually going to now, we're finally going to get into the one thing that Chasen is here for, the one thing that we've all been waiting for, the reason you guys even came down here. I just like chatting up my guests, having us all ask questions, learning more about them and the way they think and the stuff that they love. So we now know more about Chasen, about his career, about some of his favorite stuff when it comes to Nintendo, the Zeldas and the StarFoxes. So we're actually going to take a quick look at one of Ice Cream Man, aka Undying Nephilim, aka Chasen Lindsey's stuff off of his YouTube. This one came out just a few days ago, about a week ago. It's Andros recruits Starwolf, and it's part of StarFox Event Horizon. Now, this clip we're about to see, is it just a test kind of clip, or is it actually part of the project, or what
It's
exactly
part of
is
the
it?
project. It'll play right before you start the Ficina level. The level where you fight Starwolf.
Ooh,
So I'm
nice.
gonna have like little short cinematics like that sprinkled throughout the game. I'm trying to keep them short.
Trying. Okay, Oh, excuse me. All right, we are going to take a look at Andros recruits Star Wolf, and I am actually going to pause that real quick, take it back, put it in full screen, and we are going to check that out. Actually, you know what? Let me make sure that an ad is not going to run.
That ad runs during the whole thing. A
It,
2-minute ad.
a 2 minute ad because the video itself is almost 2.5 minutes. So the ad itself would take over
The
the
ad would
whole
just
thing.
play over the whole thing.
So
That'd be great.
then I really would feel awful. All right, so let's go ahead and check out Andros Recruit Star Wolf. And here we go.
Awesome. Oh, I can't see it, but that's fine. I can picture it in my head.
Hello, Mr. O'Donnell.
Ah, Andros, it's been a while. I see you finally sprung your invasion.
I take it the Wolfen are performing well enough.
Well, you know the saying. A Venom-made craft may be cheap, but you get your bang for your buck.
How would you like to further line your pockets?
Oh, I guess your attack isn't going as well as planned.
General Pepper has hired a very skilled team of mercenaries. They've managed to kill one of my admirals and possibly 2 of my chief lieutenants.
Sounds like a good time. Just give me the intel and your price offer.
The report has them leaving the area near Meteo and Sector Y. I believe it's StarFox. McLeod's son seems to have gotten the team back together.
Oh, Fox and I go way back. I'll shoot them down at a discount.
That's why I contacted you. You have some experience with James's son.
Oh, yes. We had some unfortunate disagreements a few years ago. I might have stolen a few contracts, and the poor boy's girlfriend.
Now's your chance to settle those disagreements. I want the entire team shot out of the sky. Your payment will be transferred upon confirmed kills.
Always a pleasure doing business with you. If you want to support this project, check out the links below.
So from that scene alone, at what point in the story does that scene actually take?
That's pretty early in the game. That's I think the 4th level, right before the player goes to Ficina, and because the first few levels of the game, which is kind of like a tutorial, it's basically StarFox 64. So I guess it's like Zero. It's kind of a remake of StarFox 64. And that would be right before you first encounter Star Wolf. That's when he gets hired by Andros to take out the team. That was Jock Blaney himself reprising his role as Wolf from 64.
How? How did you end up getting the original?
A miracle. It was through a connection I had with someone else. He's just like, hey, Jock Blaney might be interested, and I'm like, well, really? And he was.
Man, that's
And then
awesome.
the guy who voices Andros, who I suspect you should definitely interview one day. It's the guy who made A Fox in Space.
No.
It's Matthew Gafford
Are you
voicing
serious?
Andros. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Oh yeah, you gotta give me contact with him. I would
He'll
definitely
do
bring
an
him on.
interview. He's done a few streams and interviews lately, so I'm sure he'd do an interview. He's great. He's really fun to talk to.
Oh, that's crazy. So you got the original Wolf actor. You got the original Crystal actor. Is there any more surprises we need to know? Is there anybody else? Any
Not
more?
that I can say at the moment. I can say I'm trying, but I can't say anything for certain. Um, I can say who's not returning, but I can't really say who is. But
Okay.
there might be a third original actor sometime in the next year or so. I'm not sure. I don't want to get people's hopes up, but there
Oh,
might
okay.
be a third one.
Oh, that's fair. Let's see. To think that Wolf got his original VA in a fan game, not bad. It is crazy that some of these voice actors, they love those characters that they played for so long that they would love to voice them again and to come back. Because I know Crystal, she loves Crystal. Estelle,
So
she
yeah,
loves Crystal. She loves the
she's
fans.
completely embraced the identity of Crystal over the last 2 years. It's been really funny to watch.
Yeah,
I love it.
she really embraced the fandom. Crystal's like pretty much newfound fandom that's just come out of the woodworks. To where she's doing live memes of certain Crystal memes for fans.
Yep.
There's the whole thing with cake that for people who don't know about the
That
cake.
was really fun. That wasn't even intended to be a meme. That just exploded. And she's like, "Ooh, this is funny. I'm gonna stick with this."
Yeah, and she also has a plushie. Uh,
Yeah.
what does she call it? The
Uh,
Christelle
Christelle.
plushie.
Yeah, Christelle. Kind of a pun on both Crystal's name and her name.
Yeah, I thought it's really cool. It's a cute little play. I'm not gonna lie, I wish I had one. I'd just pull out and show
I
it right now.
might be able to get you. You know, it's through Makeship, so they only did a limited run thing. But
Yeah.
I know she's gonna do a second one at some
Oh,
point
okay,
though.
cool.
So
Yeah. So
not sure when, but there's gonna be a second one at
uh,
some point.
so we should keep our eyes out on that. And funny thing, an ad break popped up right when we started the video. I was able to snooze it. I was able to stop it. So
That was amazing timing.
so we were able to stop the ads from happening right before right before the video. There are a couple
It's
more
hilarious
videos
timing.
that I like to show. Um, One close to the end, something that you're hoping to work on after you're done with Event Horizon. Yeah, you already know what it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. One that I found, which again stars Estelle,
Still,
which
yeah.
is just crazy. So I gotta know. I was gonna ask more about Horizon, but to find out that you did get the OG voice actor for Wolf, now I gotta know, man. How did you and Estelle connect? Like
Uh,
you two have been like working together for a little while and really going full blown with StarFox Event Horizon and the Christelle plush, and you guys are doing live stream. You were doing live streams where you and
we try, but as you've experienced, she's so busy. It's really hard to do the live streams with
it
her
is.
sometimes. But yeah,
Yeah, you and Estelle, you talk
every
with
time
fans.
we get a chance, we do, which is like twice a year if we're lucky.
Yeah, so like, how
I'll
did?
encourage you to do a live stream with you first, though.
I mean, hey, if she can do it with you first, you two are
Oh, there goes
already.
the ad. I just saw the ad pop up.
Yeah, man, I am so sick of these darn things. Yeah, we're going to YouTube. The next time I do this, we're going to YouTube. Unless I can figure out how to
Yeah,
turn
1.5 minute
this off.
ad. Wow.
I hate it. Yeah, how did you get connected with Estelle? And you two have just been pretty much like best friends at this point.
Yeah, well, with the honestly, the answer is a miracle and perfect timing. But I'd been trying to contact her since I started the project, so like way back in 2014, 2015. I'd been trying to get in contact with her for a long time, and I kept getting leads. I kept, and it wasn't working out. And then in 2022. I had what I had a contact connection with her, and then that ended up not working out. And at that point, I'm just like, I give up. I've tried for almost 10 years, tried and failed. I could no, just for some reason I could not get in contact with this woman, so I gave up. And then 1 week later, literally just a week later, I randomly met someone who knew her. And I'm just like, wait, you know Estelle? Please get me in contact with her. And that's how it happened. I just randomly met someone online who knew her, like just completely out of the blue. It was the guy who worked on the Half-Life project with her.
Hmm. So you knew
It was
so was that person connected with Valve or he just worked on the project?
He was just someone who knew how to do mods and stuff for Half-Life 2, and he replaced Alex with Crystal, and yeah, and
Wow.
he got her to like redo all of Alex's lines as Crystal. But
Oh.
I randomly bumped into him like a week after I decided to just give up on contacting Estelle, and I'm like, wait, you know Estelle, get me in contact with her. And then about 2 weeks later, I got in contact with Estelle, and at first it was, I'm just, I'd like you to do some lines or whatever. But then, after a month or two, yeah, we started to get along really well. And 6 months, I think less than 6 months after that, yeah, we kind of became business partners and have kind of been there ever since.
Man, that is awesome. Yeah, and that's a great
And,
thing.
and
That's a great thing about having connections. You just randomly meet people who randomly know other people. Like,
that's happened to me several times too, where I've randomly met someone like, wait, you know this person? Like that has, but not to this. This is like the biggest, I guess, scale kind of event like that's happened. We're like, wait, I've been trying to work with this person for a decade. You know her? Whoa, get me.
yeah. Let's see. Crystal Kingdom General says, Chasen, I think God likes what you're doing.
I hope so.
You're doing something special.
Maybe it's because I dropped the Nephilim name. Things starting to go right.
As your reward, I shall bless you with connections. Okay. So before that, more than likely. So before that, we were talking about some of your connections on how you got some of the OGs, like Wolf's original voice actor, the comeback. How often do you get in contact with these actors? Like, I'm sure you don't talk to them every day, but like, how often do you
With
actually stay in
Estelle,
touch?
except when Estelle's really busy, I usually talk to her almost every day. But Jock Blaney, I talk to him once every few months. I just sent him an email and because I sent him the email with this video I finished, and I'm still waiting to hear back from him. He's a lot more private, but except lately because she's been so busy, I usually talk to Estelle almost every day.
Right.
Yeah, there obviously there's times when I talk to her less, but it really just depends on the person. Some people are really open and they like talking, and others are very private and they don't. So
Yeah. So what's it like working with Estelle on a fan project when you come as like, yeah, hey, I know you haven't done Crystal in a long time, but I'm working on this fan project and I'd like you to come in. And for her to be one of the actors who like truly embraced this character, one of her characters, what's it like to just like have the original actress come in and do these lines and having the voice, like the real authentic voice, and being able to work with them pretty much day in and day out?
first of all, I'm sorry about that car alarm in the background. I don't know if you guys can hear it. There's a car alarm going off, but yeah, for like especially like the first 6 months, like I couldn't. It was completely surreal. Like I couldn't believe it. I almost felt like it wasn't her. Like I was talking to an imposter almost. Like this can't be Estelle Ellis. So yeah, it was completely surreal for a while. But like with all things, once you get to know someone, once you've worked with them for a while, they just kind of become part of your life, and they're just kind of, they're another human being. So, but definitely, like, especially for like the first 6 months, it was like completely magical. Like, me completely starstruck. The usual things that happens when someone works with a celebrity. But now she's Estelle Ellis. She's just kind of part of my life, and we just kind of work on everything. Like I don't know how else to put it.
So have you guys like met face to face? You just go out and like have a coffee or something and talk about StarFox and Crystal?
Oh, we wanted to, but we're on the other side of the planet, so it's
Ah,
and we've tried several times, but man, plane tickets between the UK and here are obnoxious.
bonkers.
Yeah, I was trying to go to the Nottingham convention in the UK last year, but there was a problem with my passport, which has been resolved now, so I didn't make it to that. And then this year, I was maybe gonna go to Gamescom, which was I think a month ago, and that didn't work out. So it hasn't really worked out, but someday we will probably.
It'd be great if you guys can like both be invited to a convention and like that's how you two first meet face to face.
That was going to be the Nottingham convention. I was invited to that one too, but
Oh
it
man,
didn't work out.
that'd have been great.
That would have been awesome. Other people I wanted to meet were there too. Like the guy who made the Dungeon Keeper games, he was there. I wanted to meet him so bad. I still got to say hi to him for me, but that would have been cool. But that one didn't work out, sadly. But I'm not too upset. I'm just thankful I get to have her voicing Crystal in my game. I'm really thankful even just for that. Even if it was
So
that, nothing else, I'm really happy.
and Crystal Kingdom is just coming in with the puns throughout the whole time.
All the puns.
Yeah, came in. Crystal Kingdom General said it is just too plain expensive. All right, this is like the third pun Crystal Kingdom came in with. Oh, they also
It'll
asked.
happen when she comes to a convention in America, which she's looking into a few. So that'll probably be the first time that some get together.
I'm actually part of a furry convention called Tails and Tornado Fur Con in Oklahoma.
Well, it's pretty close to Texas. I know she's got her eyes on Texas.
Ooh, if we can get if we can get Estelle, and this would be her first American convention, the fandom would love to meet the original Crystal, and
I'll be there if it happens.
and I can almost guarantee you, somebody that we talked about earlier before, where Crystal was their awakening. I bet they're gonna come in there with like all kind of plushes. He's like, "Oh my god, I love you."
I probably got her a plushie. Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll be really funny. Yeah,
that'd
if
be great.
that happens, I'll be there. Or just
Oh,
ask her.
oh man, you know what? I'm going to try and get in contact with Mrs. Still again, and I am going to talk to the planners at Tails and Tornado and be like, "Hey, I don't know what we can do, but
Hopefully, there won't be an actual tornado there.
so far we've been lucky. There hasn't been any. We've been doing this for a few years. I think the
Is it
worst.
during tornado season 2?
No, not really. No, no,
Okay, cool.
no, no.
Yeah, I actually, I've said this before. I'm absolutely terrified of tornadoes.
Tornadoes aren't that bad. I know they get. I know when you see them. I know it sounds weird to say that, but I'm from Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Born,
you're like
partially
right up
raised there.
tornado alley. But
Yeah, I'm
say the
not.
same thing about earthquakes. Like people are like, "Oh my god, how do you live where there's?" Because I live on the West Coast. There's tons of lots of earthquakes. People are like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, earthquakes aren't that big of a deal.
See,
The same way you just said about tornadoes.
yeah, see me, I'd freak out with the earthquake. Like, yo, bro, the earth is literally moving and shifting. I don't want
But yeah,
that.
it's like a roller coaster. Oh
Oh,
well.
like a roller
Just-
coaster.
Just make sure you're not where a bunch of things will fall down.
So yeah, oh, Crystal Archive just asked if you were in Texas. But I guess you inadvertently answered that one. Oh man.
I'm not in Texas. I'm in California.
So working with Crystal and working with maybe two other OG voice actors, because you won't tell us your secrets. Is
I can't. I'd love to, but one just if it doesn't work out, I don't want people to get upset.
that's true. That's
Because I have reached out to a few of the other original voice actors, and they've said no for various reasons. The most common one being they have contracts with Nintendo and they don't want to risk their jobs. One of them just said they don't do voice acting anymore; they do music now, and he wasn't interested. So, but there might be a third original voice actor returning sometime in the next 6 months, but I can't say yet.
all right, cool.
There might end up being 3 total. We'll see.
I mean, either way, fans would be excited that Wolf and Crystal is in the game. That'd be amazing. What about you? Have you voiced any characters in your game? Have you decided that you're gonna lend your voice in there?
I heard this is kind of normal, but I hate the sound of my voice.
That's okay. I do too, and I've been trying out voice acting. And I gotten 2 roles so far, so yay to me.
If you want to voice someone, I'll see what role I could find for you. If it's just like a little background character or something.
I'm not there yet. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if I'm there. Well, I'll see in about 10 years. If
It might take about that long to finish everything. So
Yeah.
gosh, Hopefully it'll be faster than 10 years, because
Yeah,
10 years wars me out.
yeah, I'm part of like small YouTube indie animation projects, so I don't know about a StarFox. My voice acting isn't that good. I could do basic stuff. But
Probably so much better than mine.
but yeah, since you're not doing your own voice acting, uh, how is that? Are you directing the voices? Do you have someone who knows a thing or two who's directing the voices for you, or how's that going about?
You know, I mean, a lot of the voice actors I'm working with, they have experience, so they're yeah, with quite a few of the voice actors, we have a Discord where we kind of get together and we do like a table read. We don't really do that anymore because they all seem to have like a feel for the characters, so they kind of just they know what to do now. But for the very first time, we did kind of like a for the first level, we did like a round table kind of discussion, and I have that recorded somewhere. I actually think someone's posted it on YouTube. I'll have to find a link to that. Or as our first session where all the voice actors kind of got together to figure everything out. But kind of I've kind of directed everyone. Like Stell and I and Kyle, who voices Fox, we did a whole session for that first level with Crystal together. And a lot of the voice actors I've worked with, though, they kind of seem to have like a feel for the character, so I don't really need to direct them much. Just kind of give them like initial notes and let them know if that's not right or whatever, and that has rarely happened. So I don't know. I guess I've kind of directed them, but as far as me doing voices, I don't think you'll have me doing a voice. If I did do a voice, it'd be under the heavy filter to make me sound like a machine or a robot or something.
I mean, it'd be a fun Easter egg. Crystal Archive says, "Put me in, Coach. I'll do a voice." So there you
Who do
go.
you want to voice, Mr. Crystal?
They're saying just kidding, but no, we're not. We're not
Oh.
doing that. You volunteered now. So Crystal Archive, let us know which one you'd like to be a part of. Oh
Yeah,
man.
there's all kinds of there's so many sharp claws. Like sharp claws are. I can also tell the people who are doing the voices for sharp claws, they're having fun because they can just go crazy.
I could just be a.
Yeah, anyone who wants to voice reptiles, there's plenty of sharp claws that still probably need voices.
But there you go, chat. Let me know in the chat if you want to do a voice for a bad guy. We'll go ahead. We'll send your information right to Chasen, and you get you guys started. So
Awesome.
storyboarding. Let's talk about storyboarding because the scene that we saw, you were doing things that you didn't have to do, like Wolf working on his fighter and then going under the fighter and
Yep.
then walking and then turning off his record player, and because we get the cool old school screen sounds when it turns on and off. It's like, okay, well, there's a lot of thought put into this more than just, okay, he's working on a thing, he walks to this scene, he does this. It's like, yeah, but there's personality into this. There's actual movement. You didn't have to
Try.
have him go under his aircraft. Me, I'm lazy. I would have been like, yeah, you see his back and he's just tinkering with something, and then he turns around and goes off screen. But that's me because I have no imagination. But you really put in more thought into placement of movements. So, is there somebody helping you with storyboards? Are you making your own, or are you just going by what's in your head and just animating as you see fit?
I do have someone who checks through all my dialogue. He's the guy who's actually voicing Falco. I'll send him the dialogue I come up with, and he'll go over it to make sure like it's is it if it doesn't sound too crazy. So he's kind of like a I don't know. I guess a script doctor is probably the term I would use. But as far as when the lines get into the hands of the voice actors, I always tell them, if you think these lines are not good, do what you think is right, and I'll change it. Like I'm not married to any of the lines. Like half the lines of Andros in that video, Gafford changed and kind of did his own spin. So I definitely say for like half the characters, like half their lines are just changes that the actors made. But as far as like choreographing the scene, like I'm really happy you noticed that, like him going behind and under the wolf, and that wasn't originally going to be there, but I noticed like the way the wolfen is designed, it's got like the prong design in the front with the two pincers, and there's a gap in between. I thought that might look interesting if it shows him going, back behind and under and through that with the two kind of the two parts of the wolf and blocking as he goes, it was just a kind of a last minute like, hey, that would actually look kind of interesting if he did that. That was just I noticed a design thing about the wolfen that I think would look interesting. So that's how that came in. And then the phonograph or the vinyl player, I think that idea just came about because, like, in Adventures, they got the jukebox. I'm like, oh, it might be interesting if Wolf has, like, kind of a parallel to that. So what's another, like, something that plays, well, an actual record player, so I just threw that in there.
He seems like the type who's like, no, I like the old school kind of classy
Yeah.
thing. So of course he'd have an
That,
old record player.
I think that kind of just came from the way that Jock Blaney does his voice in that in 64. He maybe this is just me, but he always kind of came off as like a smug, swashbuckly pirate. Like he'd kind of have like spoil himself or whatever. So I'm like he'd probably listen to nicer music maybe. And, whereas Fox and his crew they kind of listen to metal and stuff that might not be considered quite as classy. But I think that's where that idea with the kind of music you listen to that just came from the sound of his voice, I guess. In the end, something about his voice made me think that, so I picked that.
And he's a
The
smooth
old
character.
Frank Sinatra kind of big band jazz swing music.
So when it comes down to character placements, because you said that you've done character modeling and all of that back in the past. Um, do you draw out the layouts of the scenes where you know where you're gonna place the StarCraft and where you're gonna place the record player and where the wall is for the monitor and where everybody is gonna move in which way?
Sometimes I'll have like a rough sketch of an area, but like in this particular scene, I had the hangar modeled, and because it's all 3D models and I can just move them, I just kind of just place them and see like in the scene and then see if it works, and then I tweak and move things. Like the wolfen originally was much further in the distance from the screen, and then I'm like, that might be boring if it takes him like 10 seconds to walk all the way over the screen. So I ended up moving the wolfen way closer, and that actually broke the animation I'd already done, so I had to go back and fix it. So yeah, I'll tweak things in real time. So I do kind of have rough storyboards, but not really anymore. I used to do it way more often, but after so long, I kind of just do things in real time, and I'll mess with the scene, find out if things are working or not. Um, yeah, hopefully that answers that.
No, no, it does because I know a lot of people. They would like they have like not models, but like kind of like a blueprint sketch of
Yeah.
where everything is. I know you say you were big into Sim City, so don't know if you
Yep.
took those old skills to use and like I wanted to
No,
look like
I, I
this.
I did used to do storyboards, on those templates with the two rows. I used to do that, but now not so much anymore. I don't I don't know why it wasn't a conscious thing. I just slowly stopped doing that over time. I still do sketches, especially for the not the original thing that's not StarFox. I have quite a few sketches of that. But with with this scene with Wolf and Andros, I didn't do any drawing storyboards. It was all just trial and error until it worked.
So do you find it easier to do it that way of just doing everything in real time compared to sitting down, sketching out, and planning out areas and movements?
I think I do now, and I actually think there is a reason for that and why I used to do the storyboards and stuff, because back in the day, and I still use Maya to model stuff, but I used to render everything in Maya, and it would take hours and hours to render stuff. So obviously, I want things to be as perfect as possible in the first place, so you don't have to render a whole scene over again when you realize there's a mistake. A few years ago, I switched to rendering all my scenes in Unreal, and it's all real time. It's Unreal. Like that blew my mind. Like when it's rendering out the whole scene, it's slightly delayed, so it's not perfectly real time. But in Maya, that whole scene I just did with Wolf and Andros probably would have taken about 8 hours to render in Maya. So if there was a mistake, it'd be like, oh man, I gotta re-render the whole thing. But on Unreal, there's a mistake. oh, it just takes a minute to read, you know, because the whole scene is only about 2 minutes long. It takes a little bit of time to, you know, re-render whatever mistake there was. So it's much more forgiving for me, like tweaking things around in real time and not needing everything planned perfectly. Whereas with Maya, like when I rendered in Maya, it's like if I made a mistake, it's like, well, there goes another 8 hours of time where I've got to re-render everything. I think that's probably why I drifted away from making storyboards and stuff, because Unreal lets me basically make a virtual storyboard in real time that I can just kind of tweak. Hopefully that answers that.
So with Event Horizon, we're going to continue with some of your development stuff.
Sure.
How long, you say you were able to do it in real time with Unreal Engine. How long did it actually take to create the scene that we had just saw?
Scene, I had started on it a while ago and a bunch of other stuff came up, so I put it off. But when I went back to it and then worked on it basically full time, it took me, I think, about 2 weeks to do. Might be a little longer than 2 weeks. I should have marked down when I did it. I want to say between 2 to 3 weeks, and it's a relatively smaller scene, so yeah, about 2 to 3 weeks, I would say.
Yeah, so like you have all kinds of videos from Event Horizon, a bunch of test runs, which I'd love to show off, but they are near 20-minute test
Yeah, they're
runs.
probably a bit long now that I think
Which,
about it.
you know, I'll show little bits and pieces of it. You know, there's no need to like have you guys go through the whole thing. So actually, let me go ahead and pull this up on my end now. While
Test
you're
runs, they're
talking.
basically when they're like the rough draft of a level when
Yeah.
they're actually playable, but they're rough around the edges and stuff, so there's no voiceovers in them yet either. So they're basically me doing a test run to get through a level for the first time.
Actually, you know, yeah, let's check out. I don't know if you're watching the stream on your end.
Yeah, I've got it up over
Oh,
there.
okay, cool. I'm actually going to show a scene called Twilight Marshes test run. We're going to
All right,
check.
yeah, I think that's the last one I did. That's the last level.
Yeah. So
yeah.
we're going to check that out real quick. And actually, let me back that up a little bit. And, you know, throughout this interview, I'll show bits and pieces of that test run while Chasen explains to us what exactly we're looking at and how he got it done. So let's go ahead and check out this test run. All right, and here we go.
For those of you who are really interested, you'll see that there's a Patreon link down below. There.
And that will be a step once the lines for that level have been done. Can they actually hear us over the footage, or?
I think they should be able to.
Find out myself.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I have them both on the same channel.
Alright, cool. Yeah, this level was a lot of fun to do. I mean, really, pretty much all the levels are fun to do, except for Sector X. That's kind of becoming a meme now. Sector X is... We're having a bit of trouble getting Sector X all 100% finished up, but other than that, all the levels have been a lot of fun to do.
We just
The kind of... Or what were you going to ask?
Oh, I was going to say, from this test run that we're seeing, just how far to completion is it?
And this level is completely playable. It needs the voice actors and it needs a few things to be polished. And I'll probably go back and add more visual things into the environment. You know, when I add in all the voice actors. But it's completely playable from start to finish. So now I'm getting distracted looking at the footage. That kind of like hazy effects that I ended up getting was completely by accident. Well, that's so cool. I need to keep that kind of like hazy, like blurry effect in the background. It's just a happy accident.
You know, it's funny because a lot of old games are like that, where the technical accidents turn out to be a good thing, and actually like, oh, this looks good.
This is using a pretty old engine, and that was intentional, so... But yeah, a lot of, especially the visual things that end up looking interesting, they're almost always an accident. There's something I didn't intend. Like, that looks really good or really cool, so I'm gonna reuse it or just stick with it. And that like hazy effect in the background was a complete accident that I'm gonna use in a lot of my levels that involve the sun setting.
So when it comes to these technical issues, how do you actually reproduce them like constantly?
What do you mean by like?
Well, I mean, because
once I fake.
isn't like
You mean the hazy effect?
yeah, because isn't kind of like a glitch, but it kind of like fix itself or tries to fix itself.
The hazy effect itself wasn't like a bug. It was I made a mistake on the art asset.
Oh, okay.
And it ended up just looking good. I'm like, wow, it was something I wasn't intending.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, that actually looks better than what I was intending, so I think I'll stick with that. But there have been technical, like, actual bugs that they ended up being like, wait, that's not a bug, that's gonna be a feature now. For example, the way that the vehicles actually stay attached to the ground, and it wasn't me that discovered this, it was someone else who was kind of exploiting something in the engine, so that completely enabled like vehicles like being bound to the ground where they're not just floating up around everywhere. That's technically not something that's supposed to be working in the engine, because this engine was made for zero gravity, like in space.
Oh.
So running around on, well, actually even the animation, it's all through a weird buggy, like janky thing that makes all the animations possible in the engine. So yeah, I have exploited actual flaws in the engine to like kind of make them not flaws anymore.
Well, those are always the coolest ones, where the technical issues become a feature.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that was really normal with, like you said, like older engines, like in the 90s, because about a year ago, I was messing with the N64 hardware, and I was trying to just using the engine that they use for Ocarina of Time, and I was trying to create stuff in Ocarina of Time, and seeing how they did stuff, and I'm like, they have like the phenomenon I'm talking about where there's just happy accidents. I'm like, that all of this it's a bunch of happy accidents that they just exploited because this engine is so limited. Like, I have a feeling that process was probably way more normal back in the 90s, where an accident happened and they're like, oh, I guess we'll just use that because that looks cool and that looks better than what we intended.
I know that happened a lot.
This engine's from the 90s, so.
Okay, I know that happened a lot on like the original PlayStation, where so many developers had to get so creative through the limitation of that hardware that some of the technical issues were just phenomenal for them.
Yeah, like when I found out the poly limit in Ocarina of Time and like the texture resolution limit, I'm like, how did they do this? Like it's really eye-opening. We're so spoiled nowadays.
We are.
Real and everything. We're so spoiled. Maybe that's why games don't seem quite as interesting as they did, because there's just, you know, the limitations I do think force creativity.
Yeah.
Man, like even when I was describing why I probably don't do storyboards anymore, it's because Unreal is given me the possibility of being more lazy, because I don't have to worry about, you know, rendering a scene for 8 hours and realizing, oh, his hand is phasing through a table. I need to re-render that. Whoops. Just a theory, though. I like how that turned out.
Oh man. So we will see some more footage from a different test run. But for this level, how far into the game is this? Because how many levels exactly are you planning for Event Horizon?
So Event Horizon is going to be divided into different campaigns, and they're all set during different time periods. And the first one is basically StarFox 64. It's a retelling of 64, and in each different campaign, there's can do 10 levels at a time, but obviously there's branching paths, so it's more like 20 levels for each campaign.
Okay.
But I don't want to go too crazy because I don't want to be working on this forever, but there's probably going to be about 70 levels total across the different campaigns. So there's 64. There's the one set during Adventures, which was the one we're looking at. There's one set during Assault. And basically, the last campaign is going to be completely brand new and after all the StarFox games, and that one will kind of explore Serenia and Crystal's homeworld and all of that.
We are back. Yes, this is so professional.
Hey, the audience seems to like animals, so or my cats will. They rarely do it, but sometimes the cats will interrupt me, and I'll pick up the cats. The audience always loves animals.
Oh no, you can put the cats on the stream. Yeah, this is what he's after right now.
Oh, that's what I'm gonna be after when the stream's over.
Yeah, there you go.
Can't wait for some
He'll
dinner.
actually sit. I'll see if I can get him to do it. Everybody, sit.
Oh.
Paw. No. Sit. Sit. Yeah, paw. He'll just do that to me. All right, but back to foxes, as you can see. I might just have a bit of a love for foxes.
They're cool animals. They pee everywhere, but the foxes are really cool animals.
Yeah, they're cute, mysterious little things. But yeah, you said that you're planning on 70 levels, and we all know that when it comes to game development, things get cut. You know, it gets out of there.
Yeah.
So-
There's definitely feature creep. I've definitely cut some things out, but hey, I'm already like a third of the way done, so got like 30 levels done almost.
That's actually what I was going to ask you. Just how far into development is the game? So 30 out of 70 levels.
If we're not counting the voiceovers, I'm about between a third to halfway done. So we're probably talking about 3 to 5 years. The voiceovers I'm kind of treating as a separate thing because, you know, all the voice actors, they all have their own schedules and everything, and you know, the timing for that's all different. So the voice actors is almost going to be like something. I mean, I already have levels now with voice acting in them, but that's kind of going to be like, I'll get to a point where like, okay, the game is done. It's done. You can play it. You can get through the whole game, but the voices are still missing in some parts, and I'll just, you know, add those as the voice actors, you know, deliver their lines. So I never want to give dates because, you know, I'm also the artsy fartsy type, so I'm never quite on time. But I want to say 3 to 5 years, and all the levels will be done, and then it's just getting all the voice acting in. If I had worked on it full time, I probably would have been done now, but I really didn't start working on this game in earnest until Estelle got involved. It was kind of just an on and off thing now and again over the last 10 years, but based on how fast I'm going since I started working 2 years ago, it'll probably be about 3 to 5 years and it'll be all done. Levels
Have you ever thought about like bringing in a small team who also loves StarFox and like, yeah, let's get this going?
Yeah, I did. Like I said earlier, there's one guy who knows the engine that he pops in every now and again to help with things. But yeah, I especially as I'm getting older, and I'm not that old, but I do not have the same amount of energy that I had 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's starting to become noticeable, and I do think I'll probably I'll need help as I get older and I lose that energy. I'm like, man, I'm not even in my 40s. How tired am I going to be in my 40s and 50s?
Yeah.
Man?
All right, so chat, if you know anything about game development, you like old school stuff, you love StarFox, Chasen.
Let me know. I'm open to it.
Yeah, he might have something
open
for
to
you.
help for sure.
It'll be great on your resume that you helped with a which a lot of developers, that's how they got started. They got started with fan projects and mods. So
did I. Like,
yeah.
I went back to fan projects after I worked on actual games. It was more fun.
So how many out of those 30 levels that you said you've done, have they all been just completely QA test ran, or is it just kind of like they're still in the prototype phase? Like how far
The
along
Lilac
are
War
they?
the Lilac Wars levels, which is the first 20 levels, though, you know, those are already available. Like, people can play them now. Those are, I don't want to say they're 100% polished, but they're way more polished than all of the next batch that I'm doing now, which is all the stuff set on Soria. Those still need to be test run, so to speak, by other people other than me. But the Lilac Wars stuff, other than the voices, that's all pretty much done. And you know, half the levels are voiced in the Lilac Wars already. So yeah, the Lilac Wars is almost completely more than halfway done, I would say.
Well, first time chatter, Sunny Hyena. That's a cool name.
Oh yeah, hey.
They said,
He does a voice in a Fox in Space too.
"Oh, Sunny, now you have to stick around. I have to get in contact with you too." They say we believe in you,
Voices
Nif.
rise.
Well, they believe in you.
Awesome.
We all believe in you. Which is partially why you're here, man. This project sounds awesome. So for Q&A test runs, have you ever played it to where you're like, oh my goodness, this is not as fun as I thought it was. I gotta go in and tweak a lot of things.
That happens all the time. That's actually really normal. I'll be like, this level is way too long or way too short, and I'll have to completely change what I had in my head. That happened a lot with not actually in a weird fluke. The level you just showed, that was one where everything kind of just clicked. Where I'm like, yeah, the length seems about right. But the level I worked on before at the Moon Mountain Pass, that level, that one was a bit of a struggle to get the length of the level to feel right and not too long or not too short.
Have that up.
And I kind of hinted at it earlier, but Sector X is quickly becoming a meme with the people, with the voice actors and stuff. Sector X, man, we're having a lot of trouble getting all the voices done for that level.
I have Moon Mountain test run right here. Something you put up a couple months ago. So we'll check that out in a moment and get your commentary on that so we can see and hear what exactly went wrong or even right. Because it is cool to hear those kind of things where it's like, oh yeah, that thing you see wasn't supposed to happen, but it was so cool we kept it in there. So when you have a level that's too short, having went too long, I can see you making cuts there to try to shorten that out.
Yeah,
It's
much easier to make a level shorter than it is longer.
Yeah, how exactly do you attach new things to a level that's pretty much done? But when you do the test run, you're like, "Whoa, that's way too short." How do you add to it?
The quick and dirty way is to add what I would call arenas, areas where you fight more enemies. Try and work that into it. That's the quick and dirty way. Like if sometimes, especially with the levels that are set on the ground, like in space, it's easy. Oh, to have 10 more enemies come in and attack you. But the level set on the ground can be a little bit more difficult because there's an actual layout, and players don't like to backtrack. They don't like getting stuck in the same area for too long. So it really depends. Sometimes it's easy, and sometimes like the Moon Mountain level was definitely harder to. With the Mountain level was too short. That was an example of where I'm blazing through this level in like just several minutes, and I generally aim for a level to be about 10 minutes long and then a boss fight. So roughly about 15 minutes, give or take. And I was blazing through the level in like 3 minutes. I'm like, this is not good.
Oh wow.
I need like way more enemies. I ended up making the level physically bigger too. I'm like, I have to make it bigger. I need to figure out something. So the Moon Mountain level is an example of where it was way too short. And then on the opposite end, Meteo was way too long. In fact, some of the videos of Meteo I have, it's like a half hour long. This is way too long. Meteo got chopped up and made much shorter over the last few years. Like several times it went through chopping up. Now Meteo's about 10 to 15 minutes.
So
you know what you're doing, it's even faster.
do you ever like reuse those levels that you chop up and just put somewhere else, or is it just on a cutting room floor?
I recycle assets all the time.
Well, not the assets, but I mean like the levels. Like you said, one was so long that you had to chop it up. You just take one part, you're like, man, this is a really cool part of the level that I had to get rid of. Do you just rework it to another level, or do you just have to, grit your teeth and bear it and just get rid of it completely?
Well, with Meteo specifically, it's in space and it's just asteroids, so I didn't really feel too bad that I cut out, asteroids when there's plenty of asteroids already in the level. Like,
Right.
there was one part in Meteo where all these asteroids are coming to crash into the fleet, and you have to shoot down the asteroids before they destroy General Pepper's ship. And originally there was like dozens of asteroids, and I'm like, this is too long, so I cut it down. It's only like 20 asteroids now that you can shoot down in about a minute. So it's things like that. As far as like actual like landscape, thankfully I usually don't have to cut out like landscape if a level's too long, and I haven't really run into too many instances in the Soria levels where the levels are too long. It's usually the other way around where they're too short, and I suspect it has something to do with the fact that it's on the ground or like it's in a landscape that, because I didn't really usually with the space levels it's the opposite. They end up being too long and I have to like shorten them a little bit.
So how do you plan out levels? I'm sure it's difficult. Like you, okay, you say you want them to be about 10, at least 10 minutes long. How do you plan out with from story to gameplay to stretch it out just long enough to where you have enough I'm sorry, enough dialogue to fit those 10 minutes and enough gameplay to keep the player engaged from and when things are too short. Oops, sorry. When things are too short, you have to figure out that's not enough room for dialogue or gameplay.
Thankfully, with the dialogue part, I actually ended up taking advice from Miyamoto, or was it Miyamoto or someone else, where you do the level first and then you fit the dialogue around the level.
Oh, that
It was
Marvel,
Miyamoto.
kind of like the Marvel way of doing things. Was it Marvel or DC? One of them, they had a way to where the artists would do things and the writers would come in and make up a story depending on the panels.
Like, I don't want to imply that like I have no idea what characters are gonna say, and then I
Right, right,
make a
right. Yeah.
level, and then but I it's like there's things I want certain characters to say. Like in the Moon Mountain level, wanted I for some reason I wanted the level to be themed around eggs because I realized the sharp claw seem to like eggs a lot. They eat putt eggs. In the original game, they were stealing eggs from point backs before it became StarFox. The boss of the level is a female sharp claw that lays all of their eggs. So eggs kind of became a full like a theme of that level, and I knew that okay, I want characters to talk about eggs or motherhood and children and stuff like that. So I kind of had an idea of what characters would be saying, but obviously the level was being built out, and I ended up having to add dialogue because the level was too short. So with the dialogue, maybe it's just because I've been doing it for so long, but the dialogue, like having enough dialogue, is doesn't seem to be a problem at all for me. It's more so the actual things that players do in the level that end up not being enough or too much. I usually have an idea of what there's several different types of levels. Like as an example, there's what I call arena levels, which the Twilight Marshes that you showed was, which is it's generally a smaller area, or in Star Fox 64, it'd be like Sector Z, or there's it's kind of like an arena where you're fighting a bunch of enemies in a relatively smaller area. So usually before I do a level, I'll pick like what kind of level is it? Is it an arena level? Or is it more like a corridor level where you're traveling a lot, fighting enemies along the way, and you're not really backtracking? I kind of try to evenly space those out so that you don't run into two of them back to back. Kind of hard to articulate all this stuff. It's kind of just like you just kind of know it after you've done it for a long time.
Yeah, it just
I
becomes second
definitely
nature.
bumbled around. Yeah, I definitely bumbled around like trial and error, making a lot of mistakes when I started years and years and years ago. But I've been doing this for quite a while now, so it's kind of become like I don't want to say a well-oiled machine, but it's a rickety car that's falling apart and the windows are held up with tape, but it goes.
No, I mean it's moving and grooving. That's all that counts. Okay, so let's talk about the story of Event Horizon. Okay, so you're saying that there's multiple arcs. You're doing arcs that takes place a retelling of Star Fox 64, and then there are other arcs that I'm assuming takes place afterwards. So what part of the Star Fox timeline is Event Horizon taking?
Alright, so originally when I started the game, it was only going to be like 10 levels, and it was going to be set after Command, and this is back in 20 this is before Zero came out. So it was just going to be after Command, and it was going to just focus entirely on Crystal's homeworld and her people and finding out about that. Then I actually think it was because of Zero. Zero came out, And for some reason, I realized, it might be kind of interesting if I just somehow like do all of the like tie all of the games together into like one kind of through line. So basically, quite a bit of Event Horizon. It's 64 Adventures and Dinosaur Planet, Assault and Command, kind of retold with a through line that leads into the original Event Horizon, as as a sequel to all the StarFox games, and it's going to kind of wrap everything up. So it's basically all the StarFox timelines. I guess it takes place over the course of like 20 years, 20 to 30 years, which if I'm unlucky, that's about how long I will have spent on the whole thing. So I guess it matches. So yeah, it starts. Well, the very first tutorial level that's kind of optional is when Fox is a kid and he's being taught how to fly Arwing from his father. So I guess it starts before 64, but it's basically 64 all the way through Command, and then it's going to have the last section of the game it's like a sequel of after Command, where everything's kind of all wrapped up.
That sounds pretty awesome. We get a fan retelling. So for those who are getting into Star Fox, you can learn a little bit more about Star Fox himself and probably even his family. Because for those who are just joining, we talked earlier about the history of Star Fox and Star Fox's lineage, I guess we could say, with his parents.
Schrodinger, Fox is Schrodinger's mother.
So who knows? Maybe we'll get a bit of a prequel storyline in there too about James McCloud, which for those who don't know is Fox McCloud's father, which means technically Fox McCloud's name is James, since he's technically Fox Jr. It's just
Nintendo it's Nintendo. It's even more confusing with Zelda. Just kind of roll with it.
It is.
But one of the things I really wanted to do is I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but a few years ago a ROM of the original Dinosaur Planet game came out. It was leaked.
I heard of something like that, but I didn't know how true it was because I have never seen a video or a screenshot. I mean, I've seen screenshots of like Rare working on it, but I've never seen a video or screenshot of anybody actually playing the ROM.
There's quite a bit. I can link you to it. You can get the ROM if you want to. It's not the entire game, but it's a lot. It's a lot of the original Dinosaur Planet before it was turned into StarFox, and that was really eye-opening. And there's so much stuff that was cut out of that game before it turned into StarFox. And the thing that kind of blew my mind is like a lot of the stuff that was originally in the game would fit really well into StarFox, and I don't know why they cut it. Basically, in the backstory of the original Dinosaur Planet, there was this intergalactic war between the Krazoa and the Chimerans. So it's like that would have been cool to have in StarFox. Like the backstory of StarFox, there was this intergalactic war like hundreds of years ago or whatever. So I really want to carry all of that Dinosaur Planet stuff into Event Horizon because there's a lot of really cool stuff that was cut from the game. So it's definitely a motivation as to why I want to have all of the Star Fox Adventures stuff in the game and kind of redo that game in Event Horizon because I really want to salvage all the Dinosaur Planet stuff that was cut. Is just I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I do feel like if Dinosaur Planet was finished as it was originally intended, it probably would have been better than Adventures. It's hard for me to say that because if Adventures was never made, I wouldn't be here right now. So,
Well, that's true. So, okay, so that actually does bring me to one strange thing. So we know we're going to be playing as Fox, of course. And since you want to bring in more of Dinosaur Planet into the telling of this story, how much of this game will we be playing as Crystal, if at all?
well, in almost all of the Soria levels, I guess it depends on your perspective because when you're riding on Tricky, it's Fox is the lead, but if you're riding on Kite, Crystal's in the lead. So I personally, I consider it as you're playing as both of them. So all the Soria levels, I guess you're playing as Crystal and Fox simultaneously, except for the very first level, which is when he shows up on Soria. But there's gonna be multiplayer because of course there is because feature creep, so you'll be able to play as Crystal in multiplayer. Once Crystal becomes involved in the story, she's in almost with a few exceptions, she's in pretty much every level after that. So there's a lot of Crystal.
Oh, okay.
I like Crystal. If I could find a way to do it, I'd have her in the Lilac Wars somehow, but nah.
I mean, if Nintendo can mess with their own timeline, you can do it too. Okay.
I honestly considered it, but I think I like Farah being in the Lilac Wars. I think that's fine.
So because my pup is being Young Crystal in Lilac Wars, we can use the Young Crystal. I mean, well, there was a war on her planet that made StarFox and Vision come to her planet to help out anyway. So, and you could work that in there. We are.
I've already finished the Lilac Wars, so I don't feel like redoing all of those levels just to have.
You're gonna go back in. Hey, DLC. There you go.
Well, one thing I was thinking of, yeah, maybe if I finish the game and I'm not utterly sick of it, I'll add some, just redo it. Like I'll have like something you can unlock where it's like every level you play as Crystal, including the Lilac Wars, maybe something like that.
Star Crystal.
Estelle's not tired of voicing Crystal. I'll have her do all the lines for the Lilac Wars. I don't know. We'll see.
It'd be a cool
Maybe.
DLC. It'd be a Star Crystal.
Star Crystal.
You have a whole lot of people like, yeah, okay, I'll play that mode and just play that mode alone. Let's see. Sunny also says, I'd love to see at least one playable Star Wolf mission, and two, a mission where you play as James that ends with his with his sad demise.
I do have prototypes for both of those floating around on my YouTube channel. A long time ago, I did make the level where you play as James, and basically the level ends with you having to hold off a bunch of waves while Peppy escapes. And then I do have a few prototype Star Wolf levels, and I got footage of those floating around. But the game's kind of bloated right now, so I kind of want to focus on just the StarFox team at the moment. Maybe if, like you said, maybe I'll do Star Wolf DLC after I finish everything, where it's like just one campaign replace Star Wolf. I like Star Wolf a lot, and I would like to have a bunch of playable Star Wolf levels, but at the moment, I'm mostly focusing on just the StarFox team.
Hey, let's see. Sunny said those prototypes made me so hyped. So there you go. People hunger for Star Wolf. Okay.
Right at the moment, my idea is there's like a bonus level you can unlock in each of the campaigns where you play as Star Wolf. So there'll be a Star Wolf level you can unlock for the Lilac Wars.
Ooh.
So that's kind of the idea I have right now. But as far as like a full Star Wolf campaign, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
The whole time you're just working for Andros. So here we go. We're gonna go ahead and check this out.
For those of you who are really interested, you'll see that there's a Patreon link down below.
All right, hopefully we'll play this. There we go. Developer commentary. Yeah, just right away. I think the Moon Mountain Pass probably is like one of my favorite places in the original game. But I might be misremembering, but I don't think they ever showed it at nighttime. So I really wanted to show it at nighttime. But I'm a sucker for things that glow. So I had lots of glowing plants there. And also, it turns out things that glow in the dark help draw the player's eye in a level that's at nighttime too. So I had to include every scene from the adventures here. It was a lot of fun getting all those bouncing explosive barrels to work. Although, because it's a test run, I don't know if you noticed right there, one of the barrels was actually bouncing backwards before I blew it up. Fun little bug. This level actually took me quite a long time to do. This was one of the... I kept having to find ways to make this level longer. But yeah, by the time I was done with this level, I was kind of burned out. Which, that does happen now and again, but usually I finish a level fast enough so I'm not like completely burned out. This one was definitely burned out by the time I finished it, because I think I spent almost 2 months on this level, actually. It's one of the longest it's taken me to finish, at least to get to the point where I can test run it. Especially visually, I really like all the glowing crystals and plants everywhere. Oh yeah, and then the reflecting things. That was also something I didn't originally intend, and I realized, wait, there's a bunch of like crystals and stuff all over this level, and the Sharp Claw use beam weapons. So you can get the Sharp Claw to get the Sharp Claw to lock on you with the beam weapon and then hide behind a crystal and the beam will reflect back at them. I thought that was a pretty cool idea. The little Sharp Claw, they put all their spell stones when they're not using them. It's kind of hard to see them. I probably should make them stand out a little more against the lights. Those little enemies from Moon Mountain that pop out of little craters. Oh, there's an ad. Well, an ad came up, so I guess I'll just sit here and wait for the ad to finish. That other person in the audience said, what I've learned from this this live stream is not to stream on Twitch. Actually, can anyone even hear me on the ads? I don't think they actually can. Well, it's an ad that's actually kind of relevant to me. I do like Little Caesars. Anyway, the ad's back. I don't know if you guys could hear me over the ad. I couldn't see anything, so I just kind of blabbered about Little Caesars. Oh, wow, yeah, I jumped. I guess the video kept playing during the ads. Yeah, like jumped through the level. Yeah, another thing I really wanted to do with the game was add a bunch of, especially on Soria, but you'll even notice it on other planets, like especially Vegeta. I really wanted to add like a bunch of wildlife that doesn't necessarily directly interact. Oh, he's back. Hello.
Hey. Sorry.
An ad popped up, so I didn't really have to do much while you were gone.
That's so annoying.
The ad's over now, but yeah, an ad popped up, so I'm like, oh, I guess, can they actually hear us during the ad, or no? I don't think they can.
No, not during the ads.
Alright, yeah, so I just kind of took a little break.
Yeah, Twitch makes sure you pay attention to them.
Yeah. As far as a break goes, would it be possible if we can wrap up and maybe do a part 2? Like, I'm sure I can find a day in the next few days if you want to do part 2.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, we're going on 3 hours. To be honest, I didn't think we were going to have this much to say.
I honestly didn't either, but I think that's a good sign. We seem to get along pretty well. So I'd be more than happy to do a part 2. I mean, if you can't get Estelle by next Saturday, I'm pretty sure I'm open next Saturday.
Yeah, man, we can
Or just
do
any
that.
other day this week. As long as I know a few days ahead of time, I can usually make just about any day as long as I know in advance.
Yeah,
Except for a few holidays here and there. I'll not be available on November 17th.
Oh, that's okay. in a couple weeks I will be out of town myself, so it won't always be possible.
Okay, cool, but yeah, I'm fine sticking around for a little bit longer, but yeah, I'm honestly I'm getting really hungry. I haven't had dinner yet.
Yeah, so we're actually let's see, switch back over to the main channel, and
I tried to give as much commentary as I could about Moon Mountain.
no, I'm glad you at least had something, because I was afraid I was gonna leave you guys here without me being able to be like, oh no, what about this thing? But I'm glad you guys had a good time without me, because again, we know why you're here. You're here for Chasen. It's all good. But let's see. Need to run for now. Be safe, everyone. Yeah, we're actually going to end the stream. I did not think we were going to be able to do this for 3+ hours. I legit thought this was going to be an hour and a half, 2 hours tops.
Yeah,
But
me too. That's usually about, even with Estelle, we're lucky we start to burn out in about 2 hours. But yeah, we went for 3 hours. And, yeah, if I wasn't so hungry, I'd probably go on for a while. I'm kind of starving now.
Yeah, it's cool. And Chasen, I'm going to plug his Patreon again. If you guys want to support StarFox Event Horizon right now, please check out the Patreon. It is awesome. Estelle is also part of that Patreon, and there's even a level where you can chat with her, get access to the
little
Discord.
bonus for the diehard Crystal fans. Yeah.
Yeah, and who knows? You might even get the first to be told about the Crystal plushies when they make another run. And also check out Chasen's Twitter/X. He said he's going to try to be a little more active on there, but follow him anyway.
I'll try. I'm not really a Twitter person. I'll
Yeah.
try.